Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of the Greg and Despot show. Hold on. Let me remove this slide first. There we go.
We're pros.
Yeah, we're still waiting on Nerdword. We hope she shows up, but if she doesn't, well, hopefully we'll still have a good show for you. So, Greg, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm well, I got a little bit of a head cold and I'm a little tired because I don't know if this is a big thing in Korea, but in the Midwest, we like to do this thing where we spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to build and plant gardens to grow $30 worth of tomatoes and zucchini. So I've been doing that all weekend. It's the ROI is absolutely horrible. It's terrible investment, but it is a fun time. So I've been doing that and I've been enjoying it.
Good. I'm glad you feel invigorated. I've been doing I've been running in the Korean summer, and it's not so bad as long as you're running toward a water source. Like there's like 2 water fountains along my little route, and I learned the hard way that if you try to run in the Korean summer without access to like regular water, it's bad. It's really bad. But it's good. You know, I'm feeling good. I'm beginning to get some definition back in the abs. So it was bad at one point when I was working YouTube and my old job and didn't have time for exercise.
Yeah.
I was beginning to bloat around the belly. It was really bothering me. But I managed to shred it off through running.
That's where I'm at. I'm not happy with it, but I got too much going on. And my problem, the issue is I'm starting to get jealous of my own son because he is like 2 inches shorter than me. He's freaking giant. And he's taken boxing. So he's been doing boxing 2 days a week, which is mostly just exercise. And then a buddy of his, they go to the gym together one day. And so he's out here doing all this stuff. He's getting defined and he's big. And I'm like, now I'm feeling self-conscious. I gotta get back at it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get into the topics. By the way, in case some of my subs are worrying that I'm becoming a streamer, I'm not. Me and Greg do this every 3 weeks on average, and I'm still working away on my next video. So it's a very long video. My last video was yet another re-up, but I'm working on my Nightmare World of Feminist film video. So I'll be reviewing 12 movies in that, and it's going to be about close to 3.5 hours long. It was originally supposed to be 4 hours long, but I just couldn't fucking take anymore. I just could not watch any more feminist movies. I think I watched 16 to make this video, and I just couldn't anymore. I had to stop and before I completely burned out. So anyway, that'll be out in mid-June. I'm hoping June 17th for the actual release date. So Greg, what are you working on?
I'm still trying to get this West Wing video. You ever start writing a video and you have this concept and you begin to write it and you realize that you can't connect A to B in the way that you thought. So I'm still writing that, but next week I'll have a video just about video games and the live service gaming industry. Things are not doing well, especially for Bungie. There's a lot of bad news, which is actually good news. The video is really, it's good news that it's bad news because the customers are being served in other avenues of the industry, the parts of the industry that are just there to suck your money and monetize you and just, get the engagement metrics up. That's all dying. And the people that run these studios, all they pay attention to are the metrics and the money and all that. So we are seeing big studios move away from this last several years of everything needs to be online. Everything has to be a battle pass, everything, all that. That is dying actively. And I'm going to celebrate real hard. So I got that coming up.
Good. All right. Well, let's get into it. So we are going to start with Mando and Grog. Disney, Star Wars loses #1 box office spot to low budget horror movie. And I think it's actually now #3 at the box office. So it's Obsession is #1 then, or maybe it's Backrooms. Anyway, Backroom and Obsession have the top 2 spots. And I think Mando and Grog is now at #3 and is now basically a confirmed box office bomb at this stage.
Yeah.
To just briefly run through the numbers, Disney probably spent, and this is a conservative estimate, production and marketing would have been 250 million together. But I mean, they bought a $10 million Super Bowl slot. So the idea that they only spent 250 million, that's ridiculous. They spent a lot more than that, really.
Yeah.
So they're going to need 500 million to clear a profit, and not a chance. This piece of shit doesn't make 400 million, not even close.
No.
So this is a bomb. Like, this had a 70% drop in its second weekend, and it's losing out to 2 fucking YouTube indie movies, one of which cost $1 million. Like, Obsession cost $1 million. Backrooms cost $10 million. So it's beautiful. It not only bombed, but it's been humiliated by independent filmmakers. I think Backrooms is A24, and I'm not sure about Obsession. I think that might have been more like literally independently funded.
It might be. That's a pretty big YouTube channel. This is a bad idea or something.
Yeah, but I mean, even to get $1 million cash together to fund a movie, that's very impressive for any channel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. It means that Disney, they can't do the usual, oh, you know, it was never the same after COVID. You know, people never really went back to theaters. Actually, 2026 has been the best year for the box office since COVID. It's actually been quite a good year for the box office. So this whole audiences just aren't showing up anymore. Bollocks. No, they just don't want to show up for your dated shite that looks like it was something that would have been released around 2017, because it's just a very horrible dated slop movie. But I mean, so it's beautiful that it's failed and how it's failed, and that audiences are actually interested in fresh, new ideas, but just not this sterile bollocks.
No. Well, and this isn't even a movie. I mean, this was, I don't know if this has been confirmed or not. This was obviously a show. This is very clearly the 4th season of Mandalorian. And then they cut it into a movie like they did with Moana 2. I'm going to look and see if that's been confirmed. I'm showing a box office of basically 250 right now, 140 here and 110 international. So yeah, 250 after a couple of weeks. That's what I agree. That's at least what they spent on marketing and production. And that's insane. And it's insane because it's a Star Wars movie. It's not even that it didn't break even. It's that a Star Wars movie can't even break even. That's crazy. That says more about the brand and how Disney's handled it than anything else, any amount of reviews or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I did warn them. If you go back to, I think I released a video in 2022 or 2023 called Star Wars is a Dying Franchise. And what I meant, I didn't mean creatively dead. My attitude was, well, after the Obi-Wan show, it was pretty much just creatively completely dead. But the point I was making was that the actual franchise was going to die. It would not be able to generate any more money for Disney if they didn't stop what they were doing. Like, just stop this shit. Stop the whole Kathleen Kennedy era direction. Like, get away from that. And they didn't. They just kept making the same old shite. And right now, you know, I was completely right. It's financially a dead franchise. It doesn't make any money. It loses them a lot of money now. And yeah, they've reached the apathy phase whereby fans aren't angry anymore. They just don't care. Like, nobody cares about this shite. They've absolutely no emotional connection to these characters or to the brand or to the IP at all. It's just, no, just don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
You couldn't even make an effort to, like, being angry at it at this stage is just too much of a bloody effort. Who cares? And
that's the other thing is that if you look at, I mean, you and I, obviously some of our stuff has to be business decisions, what we cover. And I didn't rush out to see this because sometimes, like when Snow White came out, well, I was there day one because I needed to get a video out because that's just free money. It's free views. Come on. We're going to get the views. This, nobody even cared. If you scroll through YouTube and look up Mandalorian Grogu, there's tons of videos talking about how shitty it is. They're not even getting good views. Nobody even cares enough to watch videos about how shitty it is. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the numbers and it did, and this, I knew this would happen. The first few videos that popped up, you know, the first day or two it came out did okay. And then it just cratered.
Yeah.
Also because it was an oversaturated topic. I'm going to cover it, but I will be covering it in my worst movies of the year video in December.
Yeah.
That's actually, that's a great opportunity for me because I always do that. I did that for the past 2 years, and it's a good opportunity to cover movies that I'm inevitably going to miss because I don't do many videos. So I can just do like 12, 13 movies all at once at the end of the year. So that will definitely be, I don't know. It'll definitely be bottom 10 could be bottom 5 depending on how bad things go. It's an awful movie, but it's not necessarily disgusting in that it's not morally offensive in the way that, for example, the Devil Wears Prada 2 is a morally offensive movie, for example, in the way that it glorifies consumerism and corporate culture and things like that, which is just so horrible, especially in this day and age when corporations are just treating their employees like shit to be scraped from their shoe. So that's a horrible movie. But yeah, this movie isn't offensive. It's not The Last Jedi. It's just, well, what did you think of it, Greg?
Well, I was just bored. I mean, this is one of the most boring movies I've ever seen, which is crazy because, again, it's a Star Wars movie. It's a guy that we got lightsaber or blasters going on. We've got arena fights going on. There was a heist. And you list these things and you might think, wow, this sounds like a really exciting movie. No, somehow they managed to take these elements that you would think you could just throw them in and half-ass it, which is, I believe, what they thought. And cool, you've got a cool movie. The nerds are going to show up. They're going to love it because Mandalorian's there. It was awful. It was dreadfully boring. There were so many slow shots. And again, I am firmly convinced that this was the majority of season 4 already shot, and then they cut it into a movie. And you can actually see at various parts of the movie what each episode should have been. The first episode, or there was an episode about finding Rada, whatever. There was an episode about breaking in and rescuing him. There's an episode about going and finding the guy at the mansion to find coin at the mansion, whatever. You can actually see where the episode cuts are, or get the idea. And so you've got 6 or 8 episodes of what should have been a season of television cut down into 2 hours, and it's still fucking boring. There were tons of panning shots. There were, somebody mentioned in the comments, there's tons of full minutes of Grogu just waddling through the forest. Yeah, you have a character that can't speak, which is always a terrible idea. And so what you end up with is later on in the movie, since this character cannot speak, everybody has to make noise, and then other characters have to go, oh yeah, you're absolutely right. We do need to go break into the vault to get all the money to pay off the mob boss. Good point, little squeaky person. But later on in the movie, we're spoiling this, right? There's no, there's nothing to spoil. There's a fucking plot. But later in the movie, Mando is poisoned and he's unconscious, and Grogu just he's trying to survive with them, and he finds some fisherman in the middle of the woods and he steals a fish and then goes back for another fish. And while he's there, another bounty hunter, which was cool looking guy, and his dog, they just show up basically to just chit chat with the fisherman and tell him, oh, hey, we were over at the hut place. 2 fugitives are running around the forest. It's crazy shit. Anyway, one of them, I think, is bitten by a dragon snake. That's very important information. Bitten by a dragon snake. And anyway, so peace. And he just leaves. And then the fisherman turns and goes, hey, little fella, he just said there's 2 people lost in the forest. That wouldn't be you and a buddy of yours. It's poisoned, right? Let me make you an antidote. So like, you have to do dumb shit like that when you have a character that can't speak, because how else is he going to get help? And it's shit like that they don't think about, because all they think about is the merchandising opportunities. It was, oh God, it was awful.
I mean, it's not a real, a major problem with this movie is that there's nothing true about it, right? It's just, all of it is fake, lame, and gay. So this isn't a real story that is happening in a real fictional universe. This is an advertisement for an action figure and a merchandise doll.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Like,
this is worse than Saturday morning cartoons,
right? It doesn't have like the plot holes, the fucking endless plot holes, endless plot contrivances. For example, Mando is hunting for some guy at the start of the movie, and there's a cut of about a space of about 2 minutes between when this guy leaves the room and then is seen inside an AT-AT on the side of a mountain, like on the precipice of a cliff.
Yeah.
Now, in order to get to that location, Mando had to basically jet ski downhill for a minute. And I'm thinking, how the fuck did that guy get to the AT-AT and get inside so quick? And why did he get inside the AT? What the fuck's he going to do in an AT-AT? Why is he there? And why did they march them over to the precipice of a cliff when they know there's a bounty hunter on the loose who can blow up the legs of these things. Why would you ever march an AT-AT to the edge of a cliff? Like, that's the opposite.
A cliff that's about as wide as the AT-AT. I mean, this thing is the width of these machines. They
did it because Disney wanted a shot where it falls off a cliff, which looked fucking awful, by the way. The CGI was dreadful. Just tons of stuff. I can barely remember the plot, but it's all plot contrivances and plot holes. It's a complete fucking mess.
Yeah.
When I do my review of this in December, I'll just do a plot hole section, and it'll be long because it's just, dear God, it's a ruin. It's just torn to shreds by plot holes. The characterization is non-existent. I mean, fuck, that's the other thing as well. Sometimes you'll get a really bad movie, but it might have some redeeming aspects, like, well, the actors were really trying. Like The Bride. Hope you didn't see The Bride?
No, I still haven't. I'm gonna, because I'm do the same thing in December. We'll do the worst movies of, and I gotta have that one under the belt because that's gonna be
bottom 5. That is an appalling movie. It is. I'm actually going to be reviewing it in my next video. But so I know it very well because I've finished the review, but I finished the edit, and it's just absolute garbage. And the performances are good though, right? So the acting is really good in that movie. The actors are giving it their all, but it doesn't matter. Like the script is so bad in so many ways, and in very amateur ways. For example, the characters don't have a goal. They just sort of run around from scene to scene to scene to scene, with no real, nothing to do. So Frankenstein's initial goal is to actually get a bride, and he achieves that very quickly in the movie, very early in the movie. And then what is his goal then? He doesn't have one. And what is the bride's goal? Well, she doesn't really have one. She just sort of runs around seeking self-actualization. But there's no plot. The characters don't have a goal. So you're just sitting there bored as fuck, wondering why any of this is happening. And it was similar here. Mando just sort of wanders around doing what he's told. And it's, oh man, they had to castrate him, didn't they? They had to make him lame and gay because everything is lame and gay now. And Mando he's a bounty hunter, but he only does bounty hunting for the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
Because nobody in a new rebel government ever did anything wrong or sent anyone after the wrong guy, right? So he only does it for he doesn't bounty hunt for anybody else. He works for the rebels. Now he still works for money, right? He still goes out and kills people and captures people for money. But he's a good guy because he only does it for the rebels. Like, fuck right off. Like, he only does it for the New Republic. So he's been completely cocked. And that's what I was about to say about the acting. It is atrocious. Sigourney Weaver.
He doesn't give a shit in this one at all.
There was Pedro Pascal as well. Like he is half asleep. It's like he woke up. This is what his line reads sound up like, because he wasn't there. That's a different actor in the suit. He just does his line reads in the studio. It's like he woke up, grabbed his phone, took the fucking script off his bedside table, and just read the lines into his phone. He just hit record, read the lines, sent it to Disney. Like, that is the level of effort. Sigourney Weaver's even better. Sigourney Weaver is, I mean, this is one of the most phoned in performances I've ever seen. There was actually a moment where I laughed out loud in the cinema. She sounded so bored with every single line. Like, there's a line where she comes in on the X-Wing. Now, why would the New Republic send a woman of 70 as a fighter pilot on an important mission? Don't know, but they do anyway. And
because there has to be a scene where shit gets blown up. That's it. Yep.
And she it does the camera shot where it's shows her face square to the camera, and she's like, everyone form on me. Like, she just sounds bored out of her fucking mind. But there was one line she read that she actually sounded happy, and that line was, "Let's go home." And it's like she was happy because she could get the fuck off the movie set. She just wanted to go home the whole time. She just did not want to be there. Oh, fuck.
It was so you guys that haven't watched it, because there's a lot of people that haven't watched it. I think it should have been a show, because as Ezra said, there's no characterization, there's no plot, there's nothing. This is clearly just more Mandalorian show because it doesn't advance anything. But he has a job. He, opens up, cool mission, which was fine. Like the ATAs being there and all that. It was plot holes were terrible, but it was like a James Bond opening where he shows up, he does a mission, gets the guy, kills him, whatever, turns in his bounty, and then she says, "We got to find this mysterious commander guy. Nobody knows what he looks like except the Hutts tell us that they know. But you got to go rescue their son, Rada the Hutt, and he's being held captive, and he's fucking just yoked." So you have a Hutt with a 8-pack and massive arms and shoulders, which was the dumbest looking shit ever. But he's in an arena. Mando tries to get him out. The guy that's in control, he says his contract's about to be up, but he doesn't realize the arena guys are just going to kill him. Gets him out of there, and he's a nice guy. I don't know. I'm not sure, Despot, if you picked up on this in the movie, but he's not like his father. He doesn't want to. His father ruled by fear.
Is he his own man?
He's his own man. He's not like his dad, and he wants people to love him for him and for being nice and respectful, and not for ruling by fear. And he says that 12 times, maybe, just almost word for word like that. Like, he says, "I'm not my dad," verbatim, multiple times. So they get him out. He tells them, "Oh yeah, my arena boss, he was the guy you're looking for." They capture him. Then what happened? Then he got recaptured by the Hutts because they actually just wanted to kill him to take over the Hutt Empire. They did they involved Mando and all these other people to go get Rada to kill him when he was just going to die in the arena anyway. So they involved a bunch of people and ended up bringing a bunch of heat on themselves for no reason. That plot point doesn't make any sense either. Now that I think about it, like, why are we doing this? What's the point? And the end of the movie, they kill him. They kill the 2 new Hutt people that we don't really know or care about. Rada goes his own way because he's his own man, and Mando, they all, whatever, cheers, we won, yay, something, Empire is not going to rise again or something. I don't even know. It doesn't connect anything, but that's the plot. There's no plot really. So the reason that I do think it's a show is because if you remember when he first rescued Rada, and he's like, "Okay, don't go back home. They're definitely going to kill you. Just go disappear into the galaxy." And he gets on the ship and he flies away. And there's like this swell of music. It's this inspirational. Rada's been on screen for like 5 minutes at this point. All of it's been fighting. We don't know him at all, except for his exposition dump of how he's not like his dad. And the plane is flying away. And there's this big instrumental swell that you're supposed to feel like, yes, this is a moment. That is obviously the end of like the 4th episode or something, except that they cut all the things out that would make us get to know this guy. So that didn't make any sense. That's the part that caught me. That was the big tip for me that I thought, oh no, this was a show for sure, because that moment was so unearned. And they didn't even bother to go back over and re-edit the sound. They just took clips of what was obviously a show and just cut all the dead space out and still made a boring 2-hour movie. Shit was crazy.
Yeah, you could also tell it was a show because it was 3 episodes or sort of mashed together. And I could tell when the first episode ended, it was obviously when Mando goes back and returns the bounty. And then episode 2 is when Sigourney Weaver says, "Okay, now go and get Rada the Hutt." But the movie actually runs out of plot. When Mando goes back with this Imperial bad guy, this sort of Ace of Spades bad guy, they literally use deck of card analogies, even though like the Ace of Spades, they say that in the movie, even though those that type of card doesn't exist in the Star Wars universe. They don't have it doesn't go 2 all the way up to Ace. They don't have 10 Jack Queen King Ace. Right? They have their own wee card, but whatever, fuck all that. The audience are morons.
Who cares?
So he's our Ace of Spades.
And Sigourney Weaver had a deck of cards made with all these guys' faces on it, so she could hand them out to people. Like, what the fuck was that?
So if there's any youngsters wondering what that was about, that's a reference to what the Americans did in Iraq. Once they took over, they put out bounties on a lot of Saddam Hussein's former regime guys, and they used a deck of cards to rank them in terms of how much money you would get on the bounty, because they were bringing mercenaries in to hunt them down, things like that. And then Saddam was the ace of spades. And of course, they were hiring Iraqi mercenaries who would go and get these guys. Saddam's bodyguards eventually gave him up for the bounty, obviously. So that's where that came from, just in case there's anyone under the age of 30 listening to this, which, you know, there might be. But yeah, this thing, just fucking appalling. There's I can't even think of any redeeming aspects. The music was okay. Like Ludwig Göransson's a very good composer, did what he could, but the production design looks tacky and cheap, and it looks like it's filled with toys that Disney are trying to sell. The CGI is just awful at times. Rada looks wretched. The acting is terrible. Direction is serviceable, I suppose, in terms of... Actually, no, the direction's awful, isn't it? I mean, you can't motivate the actors. The production design looks kind of shit. Like, no, I'm not going to give Jon Favreau a pass on this, especially since he was involved in writing the script. Just no, it's bollocks. Everything about this. The one thing I thought was okay with the stop motion robot guards looked kind of cool, I guess, but they were also just dumb as fuck. The other thing that didn't make sense, the Hutt twins, if they're powerful gang lords, why do they live in the middle of a jungle with absolutely no people around and nothing but robots and droids?
Yeah.
It's like, what exactly do they rule over?
Well, they took over the Hutt Empire, but they're not on Tatooine anymore. So it doesn't...
This is not a center of political power. You need people around. You need bureaucrats. The world building, like, fuck me, the world building is atrocious. It's just... Anyway, we could go on and on and on about this movie. I'll get to it in December with my worst of the year video. But the point is, Star Wars is dead as doornails.
Yeah.
And the question you have now, and this is Kathleen Kennedy's baby, this movie. This is her movie. She's the one who shit the bed here. It's her bomb. It's her box office bomb. And it's her last movie, thank God. And this is her legacy. This horrible, stinking bomb of a movie that is just no one likes and has lost Disney a huge amount of money. And it's beautiful. And I'm glad we have this final victory to prove that the Kathleen Kennedy era was a disaster and that the woman was a moron who never really knew what she was doing. And the money she did make early on came from George Lucas's legacy. That was the fumes of a franchise that Lucas built that had fuck all to do with Kathleen Kennedy, like the early financial success. So this is Kathleen Kennedy out on her own, making bombs that are fucking garbage. So anyway, good riddance to her. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Well, I'm also really glad to see the death of the Iverse of everything, the versification of all, because they wanted to do this Mandoverse shit. And, there was no Bo-Katan in this movie at all. So anybody that has been watching the series, if you know anything about the series and how Mando was forced to grovel in front of Bo-Katan and hand her the Darksaber, and they had this whole lore about the Darksaber, and the ruler of Mandalore had this thing, and season 3 was basically all about him being cucked by Bo. That was all of season 3. Then we cut to season 4. She's gone. All talk of Mandalore is gone. Rebuilding Mandalore. The other Mandalorian societies that you could go somewhere with, that's all gone. None of that is here at all. So they had this whole idea for this Mando-verse thing, and it's gone. It's gone nowhere.
Versification. I'm very tempted to do a video because I have fucking 30 really good video ideas. But I have to be very selective in what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
And one of them would be the worst modern movie tropes. So it would be things like the yap yap trope where the characters just won't shut the fuck up. By the way, that's this movie. Yeah. Just characters just talking all the time. It has absolutely no edge. It has no aura. It has no atmosphere. It has no vibe because it won't shut the fuck up for 5 seconds. Right? Think about a person that you might have known in, say, college or high school or something, or even at work, and think, you know what, he's a cool guy. That is someone who knows how to shut the fuck up, who can actually be quiet and have a bit of mystery and aura about them, right?
Yeah.
But somebody who is just a motor mouth, they don't have any aura, right? Same for movies. When movies can't shut the fuck up for 5 seconds, people can't relax into it. It's why J.J. Abrams movies are so horrible to watch. Like, just try watching The Force Awakens today. It's a horrible viewing experience because the movie never shuts the fuck up. And that is an appalling trope. That's one of the worst tropes of the past decade. Another bad trope is versification, like you said. I watched Birds of Prey recently. I'll be talking about it in my next video. And you can see the versification on screen. Every character gets their own little introduction in which you get their backstory. It cuts back to their backstory, and they do some cool shit in the present, and they're geared up so that they can sell action figures, and it's all versification. Like the entire movie just feels like adverts for potential spin-offs.
Yeah.
So it was like that. The versification was just awful and was a big contributor to the destruction of franchises. Like all of Marvel Phase 4 was just that. It was just every movie just felt like an advertisement for several potential movies.
Yeah. Well, it happened to Mandalorian. I mean, we talked about this with season 3, where season 2 ends with Grogu going with Luke. And okay, we've completed the arc. That's great. We've the mute child is now not going to be here anymore. And then they not only brought him back for season 3 to make this, verse thing, but they also stole 2 of the episodes from season 3 and put them into the Boba Fett show, because that show sucked so badly that they needed to be able to say, oh, if you want to know more about Mandalorian, you got to watch Boba Fett also. And if you want to know more about, you got to watch the Obi-Wan show. Like, they all tie into each other. Everything ties in. We're going to have after credit shit for all of these. We're going to have little cameos all the time, because you got to stay up on all this stuff. But yeah, you're right. It's just advertising. It's advertising for their own shows, in their own shows. It's awful.
I was looking ahead, like, what the fuck does Disney even do with this brand now? Because it is dead. Star Wars is a dead brand.
Yep.
Culturally, it has no cultural impact. It doesn't sell merch anymore. Nobody gives a fuck about Star Wars Land at Disney Resort or whatever it's called. What is that place called? Galaxy's Edge, I know, shut down. That was $1 billion hotel based on the sequel movies, and that they had to shut that down. And then Star Wars Land at Disneyland has done very, very poorly. It's done so badly that they've had to quietly get rid of the sequel characters which were infesting the place, and bring back the OG characters as the actors in the actual in that part of the park. By the way, I was in Japan recently, and I went to Harry Potter Land in Universal Studios, and it was fucking awesome. Very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Just excellent. And they had the actors around. So some of the actors would be like crazy little wizards doing odd tricks, and some of them would be, like Dumbledore. You get him in there, but although I'm not sure I've seen Dumbledore. But you'd have the ticketer on the Hogwarts Express. So that was amazing. But yeah, that does incredibly well and sells tons and tons of merch. But Star Wars Land has been a disaster. So it doesn't make any more money. It's just a financial pit at this stage. And from Disney's perspective, the Disney board, they're looking at this thinking, how can we even get this back to making money? Starfighter, they've got Starfighter with Ryan Gosling coming in, I think, 2027. God knows what's going to happen with that. I'm not even going to attempt to speculate, but it certainly it has more potential draw than the Mando and fucking Grogu anyway. But what do you think? Where did Disney go from here with this corporate franchise?
You bringing up the Harry Potter stuff is actually a really interesting point, because I've been to the one in Orlando, Florida, and it's the same super cool place. Lots of neat little things. They have areas that are they sell special wands that have a little reflector chip in the end of them, and they have little areas where if you wave your wand and make a certain sigil, things will happen. It's really it's really cool shit. And the new Harry Potter stuff, the Fantastic Beasts, those didn't do real well. They weren't sure what they wanted to do. The plot kind of went off the rails. They had this whole 5-movie bullshit thing they wanted to do, and they just really weren't super popular. But what Star Wars has done in Disney is the equivalent of these Universal places going, you know what, we're going to build a Harry Potter world, and it's going to be all new American Harry Potter stuff. It's going to be all what's his face, Ned or Newt, right? We're going to focus on that shit. Nobody wants to go see that, right? Nobody cares. But that's what Disney did, was we're not going to show you the OG stuff. We're going to build a hotel, an interactive hotel. Who's going to be in it? Rey. And there's going to be like actors and shit from the new sequel trilogy. Fuck the old stuff. You have to like our stuff. And of course it failed. Obviously it failed. But where they go from here, I don't know how many options they've got left is the problem, because they've shot every wad that they have, and they're going to have to get a lot of the options that would help them succeed are going to be so humiliating for them that I'm not sure that anybody has the balls or the humility to do it. Because you'll remember when they bought all of Lucasfilm, they pretty much immediately said, okay, all the expanded universe stuff, that's all Star Wars Legends now. That's not canon. We're disavowing all of that except for the mainline movies. And now we, Disney, who know better, we're going to make our own trilogy now that is not based on any of the Timothy Zahn books that are very popular. We're not going to base it on any of these well-loved EU books or any of these other properties. We're going to make up our own shit. And what they're going to have to do to be successful is they're going to have to eat that and say, nope, we were wrong. We are going to make some EU shit that has proven sales, right? A lot of these books, like they tried to do The Acolyte, which in concept, the rise of the Sith, the rise of Darth Plagueis, and then leading to Palpatine, that's a cool fucking concept. That's really neat. But they said, nope, we're not doing any EU stuff. We're going to write our own thing, and we're going to put, a lesbian with daddy issues who hates religion into it, and she's going to make it out like the Jedi or the Christian church that she hates so much. So doing that is not a bad idea. Like doing the whole Darth Bane books and stuff, those are all great ideas. But they're going to have to bring those out of the EU and say, yeah, we were wrong to say this is not canon. We're now going to go with these, and we're going to adapt these books as closely as possible and not make up our own original stories. And I don't think that they'll never do that. That nobody there lacks the ego to be able to do that.
Yeah, the other thing as well is if they're going to go to the EU, they have to retcon their own shit trilogy, either officially or unofficially, because you're going to have timeline crossover. And if there's no mention of the First Order or Rey or Kylo Ren, then okay, they've been retconned, right? So they're getting to a point where they just they can't avoid it anymore. If you're going to make any movies or shows or whatever, merch or even books, whatever it is, in the sort of post-Empire timeline, you have to decide, okay, are we retconning these fucking things or not? Because if you're let's say I'm a writer director and Disney hire me and they say, we want you to make a Star Wars movie. I say, okay, well, I want to do something post-Empire. I'm going to set it a century after. What is like, have you retconned these fucking sequel movies? Can I just write without any reference, or can I just write completely ignoring the whole First Order nonsense? Or do I have to acknowledge that that's part of the history, or to write with that in mind as part of the history of the galaxy? Like, if you want it to be coherent, then you have to answer that question. So they can't, they've been avoiding it. Like they've been avoiding, like in Mando and Grogu, for example, there's absolutely no mention of the broader politics because they don't want to have to deal with the issue of the trilogies. But eventually they're going to have to basically just retcon them. And again, I predicted this. I said in a video in like 2022, 2023, Disney will have to retcon the sequels. They won't want to, but they will have to. They will not have any choice.
Well, their other option is to just go back in time and just pretend that these things did not happen, and then they won't have to retcon. They'll just go backward. One option that they do have, and they can't do it with Din and Boba Fett. They've ruined those. They can't now fix that. But what they could do is go back in time and do a Mandalorian show before the Empire destroys Mandalore. I'm not 100% on like the history, and they could just make it up anyway. They don't care. Where they could just basically say that, of all the Mandalorian tribes, there's one that, pretty much they're like Mormons. They have to go out and do bounties for however many years, whatever, before they can come back. And then, then they're a real man or whatever. And you could just have a show, and you could make, I'm not exaggerating. You could have 10, 12 seasons of a show, and tell me if this format sounds familiar. Lone guy goes out to search, go out and do bounties, and uncovers a large conspiracy on a particular planet, gets kind of pulled in. There happens to be maybe a woman there that he's kind of attracted to, and there's a bunch of innocent people who are all going to get killed unless he intervenes. And boy, he helps out and uncovers a conspiracy and kills the bad guys. And then the girl says, "You should stay," and he says, "No, I got to keep on going." That's fucking Reacher. That's Kung Fu. That's
Mixtape.
I mean, it's that format has been working forever and ever and ever. So it's not hard for them to be successful. They could just do dad TV and have a Mandalorian guy on adventures solving a problem every season, just like Reacher. Amazon's going to make Reacher episodes for as long as Alan Richson is able to. They're not hard to make. They're not hard to write. Most of them have already been written. So they could do that. And the format's already proven. People will eat it up. But again, Disney will not do that because that is a format that is like 40 and up men are going to watch the fuck out of that show. Where a dude comes in and rights all the wrongs and kills the bad guys and just kicks ass, and that's it. And he's got cool gadgets to be competence porn, because a Mandalorian especially, he's going to have cool ass gadgets. He's going to MacGyver some stuff to solve the problems, whatever. It would be an instant hit. It would make them all the money. But they refuse to do that because they hate that audience. Disney hates that section of the audience, and they refuse to serve it.
Yeah.
They hate it.
Make no mistake, Disney are a woke company, and they will remain a woke company.
Yeah.
Whatever happens in the broader culture, they don't care. They regard their main job as social engineers and propagandists, and that is never going to change, ever.
Yeah.
Other studios, maybe. I think A24, quite apolitical. They don't really care that much. They're willing to make horrible woke shit as long as it wins them awards, but at the same time, they're willing to make stuff that is, red pilled and based. So they don't really care, right? They just want the money and a bit of clout. But Disney they're very dedicated wokeists. They will never ever abandon that. They just won't. The company, the rot is too deep into the bones, and much of it is owned by BlackRock anyway. So they're going to follow orders. Let's have a look at some of the super chats before we move on to the next topic. You two gents are awesome. This is from Dean Lawliet. You two gents are awesome. Love your work. Keep up the good job. Thank you very much, Dean. And Nevermore Rules, $10. Just a little skadole for all the fun content. Thank you very much, Nevermore Rules.
Appreciate it.
And Dennis Marquez, $5. Just like Greg says in one of his review of The Wheel of Time, Mando and Grog is an and then story. And then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. Exactly. That's like the term
100%.
for that is non sequitur. It's a non sequitur plot. The various scenes and plot threads just aren't connected. It's just shit happens, and then this and this and this and this and this happens. The Bride is another example of that. That's a non sequitur plot. Just this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens, and nothing really is connected. Maybe in the writer's mind it's connected because it's happening in the same world, or it has the same starting point. But no, it's a complete mess. And Mando and Grog is a textbook non sequitur, and then this happens, and then this happens, as opposed to this happens, therefore this happens, therefore this happens. Things like that. Or you could even have two separate storylines happening simultaneously. They're connected, and then they're slowly moving toward each other, and then they merge. Pulp Fiction, for example, does that. It has different storylines, which they're happening in parallel. They're not necessarily connected from the origin point, but they do eventually merge and cross paths. So you can do something like that. You can do different things, but the non sequitur and then plot, it could only really work if you're doing it very deliberately. Forrest Gump, for example, is a non sequitur plot, and then. But it's doing it in a very deliberate fashion. Like, that's the whole point. The whole point of Forrest Gump is that it is non sequitur. It's just this idiot who's kind of stumbling through life, but being very successful at it, for whatever reason. Maybe it's a guy who's just he's unlucky, and he's unlucky, but then he gets lucky, kind of thing. I don't know. I have to think about it more. So. Keep up the great work, boys. Obsession is all it's rumored to be. It's an emotionally traumatizing experience. That's from Chris Schick. I'll have to wait till it comes out on streaming because I'm not going to pirate it. I don't do that. I don't do piracy. And you shouldn't either. But for indie movies, I genuinely wouldn't want to do that. I do want to support them. So I'm going to wait till it comes out on streaming or until I can rent it or something. It's not coming out in cinema here, but I am going to see Backrooms today.
I'm excited to see both those. I'm usually not a horror guy, but those both look so interesting and they don't look gory, like they're not slashers or whatever. Those look great.
Russell Crowe Gladiator movie is a 10 out of 10, but I demand the OG Gladiator movie get more respect. It's a quintessential 90s boxing flick with Cuba Gooding Jr., James Marshall, and a young Mrs. Wheeler. Stranger thing. I've never heard of that. This is from Rust Colo 1, $10. Thank you very much, Rust.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it.
No.
All right. Well, anyway, let's get to our next topic. So, oh, fuck me. I watched an entire playthrough of this. I watched a 2-hour, 38-minute playthrough of this.
I couldn't watch the whole thing.
I say playthrough. It's not a playthrough because, hold on, let me just fucking skip to. It's not a playthrough because there's no game. This is a movie masquerading as a game. It doesn't have gameplay. The gameplay in this consists of these skating sections where you can move from side to side on the road. You cannot increase your speed. You just move from side to side, and if you hit a tree or something, it just moves you back a few seconds. But it has no gameplay. A lot of the rest of the game, in fact, all of the other gameplay is the story takes you to a room or something, and you can walk around the room and look at stuff. And if you click on something, the insufferable Stacey Rockford, the girl who's narrating this movie, she will tell you about it. So if you click on a photo, she'll say, "This is when me and Slater were getting wasted in the forest. We got so fucking stoned that day. It was amazing. And I was listening to Just This Time by Depeche Mode. That B-side is so underrated." Like, or some other pretentious bollocks like that. It's horrible. It's just, so I'm actually going to review this in my worst movies of the year video. Because
it is a movie.
This is a movie. This is not a game. This is a really shitty, complete misfire of an attempt at a 90s nostalgia movie. And they couldn't get it greenlit, so they said, fuck it, we'll make it into a game. This is absolutely not a game.
No.
Oh God, the characters. I could go on. Greg, what did you think of Mixtape?
I only watched an hour. So they didn't even leave their house in the hour that I think I might have watched. The same one that you did was something Broken Toys, maybe was the channel.
I watched the no commentary and no songs, because if you played the songs, you could copyright hit.
Yeah. So, I watched one that had the songs. And I watched it for an hour, and they didn't even leave her house. And it was just that. It was wandering around the rooms, clicking on stuff. Yep, this was a concert we went to. Oh, wow, look at this Polaroid of us. It was that over and over. And you're absolutely right. And for those of you thinking that Despot is exaggerating, the accent for the main character there, the blonde that you're seeing the back of the head of, 100% fat Ridgemount High. She talks like this about everything and like drags it out. Vocal fry is when you speak into the back of your own mouth. And she kind of has like a stoner accent. Super SoCal. She's got that kind of that lilt at the end of her sentences that makes it sound like everything she says is a question. It's fucking ear rip. So the thing is, this game is part of a trend that I'm really tired of, where people accurately portray awful people, but then want credit for doing so accurately. With The Last of Us 2, that was my go-to, where people defend that because you'll say, this is a bleak ass story. There's no point. Everybody's just horrible in the end. Revenge is bad. Oh my God, what an amazing concept. And violence begets violence, and it's just awful, right? It's just torture porn. It's awful. And you'll have fucking shills who, it's supposed to be bleak. That's the point. It's supposed to make you feel very bad because it's so awful. Okay, well, you know what, guys? If I showed you a video of a child being assaulted, that would make you feel bad. Am I successful because I showed you something that makes you feel bad and I intended to make you feel bad? Like, what is the point? And so I've seen people defending this game where they're saying this is an 18-year-old pretentious Southern California fucking hipster And there are people like this. Okay, that's fine. That's great that you accurately wrote an asshole hipster. But I don't want to spend any time with this person just because you accurately portrayed a piece of shit. Like, I don't care.
You could have a character like this. I actually think it might be quite a good idea to have a character like this in a movie, but the whole point is the character in order for that character to work, you would need a kind of audience point of view character. So you need a fairly normal person who is likable, and then they run into, oh, for God's sake, it's that dickhead Stacey Rockford. Fuck, she's gonna be talking to me. She's gonna be talking down at me about some fucking obscure 70s rock band. Oh Jesus, here she comes. Hey, what's up, guys? Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. I was just listening to Depeche Mode. Their first album is kind of underrated, but I think that Stevie Vaughan's guitar sound is like 18 months ahead of its time. And do you know what I mean? And it's just, you just want to rip her head off, but you're there with the normal characters wanting to rip her head off. That's the whole point. But when you take her and she's the main character and everything is from her perspective and there is no fucking relief from that, no, that's not how you use that type of character. But the argument that this is a well-written, pretentious character, no, it isn't, okay? I was a bit of a pretentious music snob myself as a teenager, like nothing like this, but they don't have this sort of vast, and I knew a lot of, I was a big music head since I was 15, so I knew a lot of other teenagers, young guys who were really into music, and they didn't speak like this. They didn't talk like this. Generally, what would happen is you would sort of have phases. You would get really, really into the Smashing Pumpkins, and then you couldn't shut the fuck up about the Smashing Pumpkins, and then you get really, really into Radiohead, or you get really, really into the Beatles, and you just sort of have these phases where you're obsessed with them. And you can argue very passionately about albums and things like that, but sort of obsession with very obscure stuff, and the stuff that she goes on about in this movie, I'm just going to call it a movie.
It is.
You can tell that the writers have gone out of their way to make the stuff she's talking about as obscure as possible to make her seem like she's extremely erudite. And it's none of the, like, the vast majority of the stuff she's talking about, the reason you wouldn't recognize it is because it's just not very good. It's very forgettable stuff. I mean, she mentions Love by the Smashing Pumpkins, which is okay, but they've done, Jesus, it's not even in the top 20 Smashing Pumpkins songs. So it's not even how teenagers like that talk about music. And apart from that, the dialogue she uses is completely unnaturalistic. You've seen American Psycho?
Yeah.
Do you know how Patrick Bateman will talk about music? He'll give these very elaborate,
he's selling it. It's this is awful.
Yeah, there's a tongue kiss scene where you can actually control the tongues. If you're watching the screen now, you'll see what we're talking about. But that is the gameplay. Like, this is what is considered gameplay. Oh, so hey, Nerdword.
Hey guys, I'm so sorry I'm late. I totally got the times mixed up. For some reason, I thought it was Pacific time, so I was keeping an eye on the time and making sure I was trying to get here on time. And then I was like, let me check my stream, my emails just really quick. And then I was like, Central time? No, that's only an hour. So I logged in immediately. I'm so sorry I'm late.
Don't worry about it. We're just talking about Mando and Grogu, which has been talked to death. Like, who cares? Yeah. Did you watch any of Mixtape?
I did, yeah. I saw the first half hour like you suggested, and I was very confused for the first 10 minutes because this is not normally something that I take a look at all. The main character, Stacey, I think it's Stacey Rockford, something like that. It was utterly insufferable within the first 30 seconds. And I was like, okay, is this set in the 80s? Is this set in the 90s? Is this in the early 2000s? Do I even care? I'm not sure.
I believe it's supposed to be 90s.
Is it? Okay.
But yeah, she's that person that is like, oh no, I don't even listen to obscure. I think in that original room she mentioned something that they've read some track from Portishead, because that's really what super cool people.
Here. Like I do not rate Silverchair. I think Silverchair are one of many Nirvana knockoffs, probably the most successful Nirvana knockoff. But I've attempted to listen to their music in the past, and it's fucking shite. And here she is. You know who she is? There was this joke, just kind of a meme, like, I'm so cool, I listen to bands that haven't even formed yet. she's that.
Mm.
If a meme was a person, she's that meme. Like, she's just so much cooler than you because she listens to shit that you haven't even heard of, bro. She's and the way she speaks, like some of the one-liners in this, the most pretentious. By the way, this is gameplay. You have to click the button in time with the music, and they'll do that. That's the game.
The animation is terrible on this.
Fuck yeah, it's all repeated animations.
Mm-hmm.
But the one-liners. There's a part where they go to a dinosaur park, because I watched the whole thing. They go to a dinosaur park and they're talking about because they actually break in because these are criminals, right?
Yep.
They break the law. They underage drinking, lots of trespassing, lots of vandalism. Like, they're just scum. Like, they're really just scum when it comes down to it. And they break into this theme park at night and they start turning on the rides, and they go into the dinosaur themed area of the theme park, and they start coming off with one-liners like, what is it? It's if I was a tree, when I'm losing leaves, is that like losing my hair or losing my skin? And then Stacey says something like, this is an interesting question. And another one is she goes, he says something like, what do you think of T-Rexes, Stacey? And she says, T-Rexes are so mainstream, man. If I was a dinosaur, I'd want to be a Dilapidon. And like, that's literally a word. That's literally a line that she says. Like, the one-liners in this, they're unbearable. They're so fucking pretentious. They're just the most pretentious, insufferable teenage wankers you've ever met in your life. Just it's almost impressive how insufferably pretentious the writers were able to make her. And the clothes and the music taste and the fucking vocal fry accent, man.
What's crazy to me is that this game is supposed to be nostalgic, right? So it's supposed to be this, like, I wish I was this person, or it would have been cool if I, like, we knew people like this. Every teenager in high school knows people like this that are pretentious. They've always been around every decade. They always know obscure shit. But, when I was young, I probably wanted to be cool and like know obscure shit and be mysterious and whatever. Like, I'm sure that I was jealous of people like that at one point, but then later on as an adult, I would never look back on that and want to glorify that in a nostalgic kind of way. That's the part of this that really confuses me, is that adults made this and they were like, yeah, if we were like this and we broke into places and we knew all these obscure bands and this would be so cool. No, the fuck, it's not. That's the worst part.
Was there any aspect of the 30 minutes you watched that you find appealing, Nerdword?
I can't say that any of it was appealing, Despot, to be honest. I didn't mind the beginning when they're like skating down the road. I thought that was the best of the worst of it, I suppose you could say. But that maybe that's because there wasn't much talking, and they're only saying one monosyllabic words like car to make sure they didn't get hit when they were skateboarding. As soon as they got into the meat of the dialogue, I just checked out completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, this is the gameplay. You walk around her room and you look at stuff, and then she'll give you a little explanation as to what memory it references. So the entire room is just sort of a nostalgia sandbox.
Every now and then it goes back to a scene, like with the car, that was a flashback.
Yeah, like fucking.
Or the slushy machine.
Here, you see these? Yeah. Right? These are, I use these to wipe my glasses. But if this was Stacey Roxford's room, she'd say, I got these off Slater at a party in 92. We were listening to Silverchair at the time. Like, she'd have to give you the whole story behind her little rag that she uses to clean her glasses, right? And she couldn't just pick up a pen or say like, oh, look, here's a PS2 controller. She'd have to give you her backstory about how she got the PS2 controller from her sister when her sister went off to college. It's like, Jesus Christ, every single little item has its own little story. It's so obsessed with nostalgia. And that's the other problem with this game. Kids this age don't have nostalgia. When you're 17 or 18 or whatever age these kids are, you're looking ahead to the life that you're about to lead. You're forward looking. Like, teenagers this age are inherently forward looking creatures. You don't become nostalgic until much later in life. And you're talking like early middle age is when the nostalgia bug might start to really hit. And So this is the sort of the nostalgia of a middle-aged person being forced onto a teenager, and it all feels very fake and contrived to me.
Yeah.
Teenagers just aren't like that at all.
Mhm.
My issue with this as a game is that I don't have a problem with walking simulators. They can be fine. There are some interesting ones. I'm not into them, so I don't play them a ton, but like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is fine. There are some walking simulator type puzzles, like the disappearance of Edith Finch or whatever happened to Edith Finch, one of those. There are a couple of kind of big ones. They pop up. But the thing is, this isn't really even a walking simulator. This really is, because people are like, oh, it's an interactive movie. Don't be such a, whatever. It's fine. Like, not every game has to be God of War, and it doesn't have to be like action, whatever. But this isn't even an interactive movie because you really aren't, you're not interacting with this story. And that's the difference, is you're just walking around, touching things. You press a button. Okay, she says some shit. Or you're in the car, and if you press the button, everybody will headbang. But that's not interacting with it. That's just it's the ability for you to push a button to feel like you're doing something, but you're not changing the story in any kind of way. For it to be an interactive movie, you would need to have branching story paths, or you would need to be able to affect the story in some way. That would make it a fine game. Because like this nostalgia slop and this, like, because I'm with you, Nerdword. Like the skateboarding in the beginning, I was like, all right, this is pretty cringy, but I was a teenager. I was cringy. We all were. And they're out just, skateboarding, or I was riding my bike, and you're out saying dumb shit to each other that if I had a recording of me speaking as a child, I'm sure that I would just be, oh my God, it would be awful. I'm sure I had dumbass conversations about what dinosaur and what's too mainstream. And, do you like the Weezer Blue album, or no, I like the original. No, the new stuff is no good. Only old Weezer is like, I did that shit. It's fine. But this is not a game. This isn't a video game. There would have to be at least another ending where you could choose not to be an asshole and go off to New York because the main character just wants to abandon her friends to go be a music manager or something because her mixtapes are so fucking good. There would have to be something that you could interact with, and this is not. This is like walking around a museum and there are plaques and you can read them if you want to or not. That's the amount of interaction that you can have here, and that's it. It doesn't qualify as a game, in my opinion. This is a watchable movie. That's all.
Yeah, another aspect of this that I hated was that it's a complete failure to read the room by the people who are making this. So from the perspective of your average millennial, which is broadly speaking the target demographic for this game, these people live in fucking paradise.
Yep.
Right? Yep. The average millennial is a rent serf who lives in some shit house or shit apartment that they don't own and will never own. And they work a shit job that they probably hate. And they're broke. And everything's getting very expensive all the time. And that's never going to change. And they're never going to get paid more because, there's an army of third world slaves coming in to keep the wages low. So that's just the life they have now, right? Here's these wankers wandering around paradise. This absolutely amazingly beautiful leafy suburb. And it is a very nice visual setting. I'll give them that. I think that the way that they have visually presented this suburban,
this scene in particular, this is kind of a cool little scene right here.
They do have some nice visuals. I'll give them that. Like they live in this beautiful town, high trust society. You can probably leave your door open. You don't need to worry about dropping your wallet in the street. You'll be all right. It's not absolutely fucking plagued with junkies. So they live in this beautiful part of the world, right? Most millennials would kill to live somewhere like this. Look, they've got this big, beautiful lake, right? And all they do is fucking moan, right? I can't wait to get out of this place. They actually call this town the Big Suck. That's their nickname for it. This absolutely beautiful paradise that has been created by this amazing civilization that you belong to. You call it the Big Suck because you've been brainwashed to hate that civilization, and it's just disgusting, and it's so out of touch with the target demographic here, who have to live in these kind of urban slums that most people kind of have to live in now just to be able to work. It's very frustrating. It's very annoying. And it's the kind of thing that a billionaire's daughter would make, because this was made by a billionaire's daughter who would look at a kind of paradise suburb and think of it as the big suck. It's insufferable, the whole thing.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Devil Wears Prada, and we're talking about like video ideas, and I think I might do one about 90s movies about work versus new movies about work, and how like new young people do view it differently. Like I've seen a lot of posts where they'll bring up a Fight Club or Office Space or whatever, and they're like, "How? Oh no, I have a stable job. It's so awful. I have to rebel and blow shit up." And it's like, you guys don't. So you see that as so nice and whatever, but they don't view things in the same way. Like they don't see the soul-sucking nature of a cubicle job and why someone would want to blow that up. They look back on it like it's amazing or whatever. They've been trained to hate bad thing or hate good things and love bad things, and they just their view of the past and the present is it's not living in reality with the rest of us. And it doesn't, that's why a game like this doesn't track at all. That's why a Nepo baby like this would make a game this like this, because they don't live in the same reality as the rest of us.
They don't, but that's the thing. It's not only that they don't live in the same reality, they can't even conceive of what it's like to live at the bottom of society. They don't have to worry about gangs of African men in their kids' play park, for example.
Oh dear.
Do you know what? Stuff like that.
I've been keeping an eye on British politics, and it's definitely like that over there. It's getting rough. It's getting rough in the UK. I mean,
just today, African migrants were moved into the Christian Brothers house in the Glen Road in Belfast. That's where I used to go to school.
Oh my goodness.
They've moved African migrants into fucking school grounds next to kids.
Yep.
And they know the behavior of these migrants. They know what they're like. But that's what people in working class areas have to deal with. And dickheads who make stuff like this, they can't even conceive of that. To them, the world is just a big sort of bubble of pleasure. And this suburb is just less pleasurable than New York. New York is where you're going to go to find the most pleasure. And there's not going to be any dickheads shouting at you there. Like the only good character in this video game, there is one. There's one good character. See if I can find him here. It's this guy. He is the villain of this movie because he turns around to his daughter and says, "Stop hanging out with these fucking losers, okay? Stop hanging out with these loser stoners. They're gonna get you in trouble." Because the plot line of the plot of this game is that these three are trying to find Stacy's sister's alcohol stash, so that they can have a big blowout party on the final night in this town together before Stacy goes to New York to become the greatest music supervisor of all time. So that's the plot. And the cop comes along, like her father comes along and says, "No, I don't want you hanging out with these dickheads and getting drunk on cheap vodka in the woods. That's a bad idea. You should actually try to make something of yourself instead of falling in with this crowd of losers." And he's 100% right. He is completely correct. Trying to keep his daughter away from these fucking cum stains masquerading as people, these two. And he's the only likable person in the entire show. Like she just casually kicks over a trash can. Somebody has to clean that up, you wee wanker. And it's not going to be fucking you. Do you know what I mean? It's just the... And it trash can over because I'm angry, right? And I just want to get my emotion out there. She's such a spoiled wee bitch. She's never had to do anything. There's always been some slave there to do it for her. Oh, I hate these people. I hate them all. There it is, Love by Smash Pumpkins. That is actually a decent song. But, oh God, I hate them so much. Except for just that one cop at the end. And then at the end, this wee bitch here, the cop's daughter, she threatens to burn down the entire, this ain't a catastrophe, it's a warning. She says that to your own father. Why would you glorify speaking to your own father like that? That is disgusting. She burns down a cabin, and then she says, "If you don't fuck off and let me get wasted with my loser stoner friends, I'm going to burn down the whole town." She just blackmails him. She basically holds the town hostage, and her ransom is free reign to indulge her own avarice. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I really don't know what to say when it comes to stuff like this, to be honest. It's just an expression of the boredom of a lot of people these days, that they'll come up with ideas that kind of, I don't know, traditional values are just boring to them. The concept of having accountability is just boring to them. Right and wrong is boring, which is why you see so many like morally gray to very dark characters, because that seems to have more nuance than anything that's traditional. Yeah, I really just don't know what to say about this game.
There, like Greg brought up earlier, like if this was a sort of action consequence game, it could actually have real potential. So first of all, the whole theme of the game is nostalgia, right? And like I say, it doesn't work because these people aren't old enough to have nostalgia. And part of having nostalgia is your life getting kind of shit and boring, which happens in middle age. And so you get middle age, you're going out less, maybe the girls aren't looking at you the same, or if you're a woman, the guys aren't looking at you the same. And you kind of get nostalgic for a time when that wasn't the case, when, you were young and fit and thin and you had lots of friends and you were partying all the time and you didn't have, a screaming kid waking up at 6:30 in the morning. Although she wasn't screaming, she just came in and, chilled out around me. I'm talking about my daughter. She woke up at 6:30 today, which is very beautiful. It's much better than hanging out with losers like this. But that's where nostalgia comes from, right? And it would have worked, I think, if you start the game in middle age. So sort of Stacy's a middle-aged woman and she's thinking back to this time. Like maybe she's driving to her hometown at the start, and you play the game, and the actions that you make, the actions you take in the game have consequences in the next segment, which can be a middle-aged segment. So for example, let's say you can choose to go drink driving, and you choose that, and then you crash, and when you skip ahead, the new timeline is that your friend Slater is dead because he died in that accident. But if you choose not to go drink driving, I don't know, Slater works in a bank or something. Just little things, like you could build the whole story along these possible different timelines. And you could end up a total sort of loser and degenerate based on bad actions, or you could go the other way and have a nice little life based on good actions, and you go back to the town. And then at the end, when you go back to the town after the good actions, it's kind of nice and people are happy. But if you take the villainous path, you go back and you see people who still aren't over the death of their brother that had happened 20 years ago because you got him killed in a car crash, kind of thing. That would be really interesting. So there's a seed of a good idea in this game, but it's not executed properly, and whatever good ideas they had are just completely squandered on these horrible, unlikable wanker characters.
Yeah.
And the glorification of pretty awful behavior like theft, trespassing, underage drinking. Not just that, like encouraging underage drinking. Like you're turning around to a 17-year-old, come get fucked up with us. That's not cool. That's very degenerate behavior. So yeah, it's just horrible game, a horrible movie pretending to be a game. And it got 10 out of 10 on IGN. So that's the other question, Greg. Why did the critics glaze this piece of shit? Why did they all give it? It's a 10 out of 10. It's a masterpiece. Like the game critics fucking love this.
When I was looking for the playthrough to watch, I was actually very shocked to see SkillUp gave this one a recommendation. I usually agree with him on a lot of things, and I was shocked to see he even reviewed it and then claimed to like it. I do think that it's the same type of people that made the game. This isn't nostalgia, it's fantasy nostalgia. Because you could tell a game about nostalgia. That's fine. Like there's 90s nostalgia that you could do, and it could be done well, and it could still be cringy because it was. And there's also a place for telling a story about teenagers who are they think their life is a sitcom or a movie, and they have these grandiose ideas about how important they are. And like Ferris Bueller's Day Off is like thinking that you are the most important person in the city, and you have this idea about your life, and it's a show, and you're leading a musical, and like all of this fantasy that you have. That's all fine. You can work with, like you said, there's pieces of this that you can work with. I think a lot of people are having, a lot of millennials are getting older, they're having like midlife crises. And the reason they like this is because it makes them feel like they could have had a cool childhood, even though, like I said, it's not cool. But I think that's what it's just theater kids that went into journalism and they go crazy for this kind of shit. Yeah, they get 5 points. I think Black Myth Wukong got like a 7 or an 8 or something. That's the real story with this, is the people giving it a recommendation or giving and IGN giving it a 10 and all of this. Like, if nobody talked about it, this would die in infamy and we'd never even know about it. It's the fact that all of the theater kids in journalism wanted to prop it up. That's what got it so famous and then infamous, because it's a piece of shit.
Hold on. I'm actually just going to briefly check the Steam score on this, because I want to compare that with, the IGN 10. What are the actual gamers on Steam given this piece of shit? 2 seconds. I'm just opening up Steam here.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of shocked that the main character, for me personally, I always like to have a plan for something. She had no plan for when she went to New York. She was just going to show up in the same restaurant that this famed music producer usually hung out during the weekdays to get her lunch or something like that, and then just go up to her, slap the tape down, and demand that she listen to her mixtape and then become her protege. And I thought to myself, are you out of your mind? Even in high school, I would never have done something like that. You would need to have like a multi-step plan in order to get something that big of an idea, or that grandiose of an idea, off the ground. And the fact that she was just simply seemed stoned enough to believe that this was just such a brilliant thing to do just speaks volumes about the game itself and the creators of it.
Yeah, look, it's not just the critics, to be fair. On Mixtape, it has an average positive from 3,256. So, I mean, it isn't just the critics. There are a lot of people who like this game for whatever reason, but I am not one of them. I absolutely detest this piece of shit. I think that's enough of Mixtape. So we'll talk a little bit about.
Oh yes. Okay.
The Odd-yssey. You two go nuts. I'm gonna grab a coffee. I've been at it nonstop for 3 hours now. So just let me grab a coffee. You two go nuts. All right.
No problem.
So Nerdword, you did a video about this. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, it was really quick. It was really quick, to be honest. I didn't dive into all the stuff that I wanted to talk about. But what do I hate the most about this? The fact that Elliot Page is going to be in it as the possible pseudo Achilles. I really don't know if that's still going to be the case. Nothing's been confirmed, but the fact that this person's in it at all is just very concerning to me. Lupita Nyong'o as the most beautiful woman of the world, the face that launched 1,000 ships, when comparison to Diane Kruger, who looks like a literal goddess from the 2004 Troy. I'll be honest with you, I have a lot of concerns about Matt Damon as Odysseus. I know I've heard a lot of people say they're fine with his casting. I personally am not. And I didn't mention that in my video.
Yeah.
Because I thought to myself, yeah, well, you know what? There'll be other things to talk about. And I figured, I'll just talk about it here, because it just seems like people are so fine with his casting. I thought, and after hearing his accent in the trailer, I thought to myself, I can think of at least 6 or 7 other actors that I'd pick far more, or that I'd like to see in the role far more than I think he would. And that some of them might be a little old, some of them might be a little bit young, but at the same time, they would just do a far better job, I think. Someone once likened Matt Damon, I think it was Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, on a live stream once, to being the Ford pickup truck of actors. Like, he'll get the job done, and that's fine, and he's serviceable enough. And I know he's a good actor, he is, but he's just not who I would have picked for a role like this. He doesn't scream mythological character or fantasy king to me. He just screams, I'm here to do a job, and that's basically it, which is not what I want to see from a mythological tale like the Odyssey. Yeah, those are most of my gripes. Okay, yeah, for right now. Anyway,
I'm with you. The casting is a huge one, I think. The thing with Lupita Nyong'o is that it's an interesting cast, because I don't think that you could find a lot of people that would call her ugly. She's not unattractive or anything. Mm-hmm. You're right. Like, the Helen of Troy has one defining characteristic. Like, this is her major part in this story, is that she is the most beautiful woman in the entire world. And so I don't think Lupita fits that bill. It's not that she's an unattractive woman. It's just she's not Helen of Troy. It's just, It's not it. And I agree that I don't think Matt Damon is an Odysseus. Even if they de-age him, I don't see him as the great strategist, general, whatever, this greater, larger than life character. And what we've seen of him so far in the previews, he's pretty beaten down, which is a big part of the story, obviously. But I agree. I don't think that he's it. And I don't know about Ellen Page. Like, I don't know if they're going to have her if in this version they're going to have Achilles go, because I think it's Achilles' ghost.
Yeah.
And maybe in this version, Nolan wants a like a contrast between this mighty warrior Achilles and now this, you know, scrawny chick that in Hades, this is the real soul of Achilles or something. And that's supposed to represent, I don't know, how sad and frail he is underneath the mighty deeds. I don't know what he's going for there, but that is odd. And the issue is that Troy, it wasn't a huge hit. Actually, I think it might have lost money, but that is the most recent imagery that anybody's going to have. And they're going to see Brad Pitt. Like, that is what they're going to think of when they think of Achilles. And so, yeah, Paige is just it's not going to be it. It's going to be weird.
No, it's going to be very, very bizarre. And most of this movie is very, very strange to me. The casting choices, the fact that it doesn't. If you compare it to Troy was very bright and colorful, and you could totally feel immersed in the world. This feels very dark and very cold and very unwelcoming, I think, for the watching audience. So it's going to be harder to dive into a fantasy world like this when the lighting's really dark, when the scenery does not scream fantasy, and most of the scenes in the trailer, I think, were very gray or dark blue or black, and it was hard to make out details and faces. The accents are horrendous. The accents are god-awful, and I don't know why he's decided to go in this route, because you would think that Christopher Nolan, who is, of course, I think it's fair to say that he's the best director working right now, would do something like this, specifically because it's supposed to be mythology, and there's not a single Greek actor in this. There's not a single, okay, if you can't do Greek accents, then I guess British accents are serviceable. But the fact that there's none, and everyone's just speaking with the same American tone, threw me completely out of the trailer when I first saw it. And I thought to myself, this can't be real. This is a joke.
Well, I think that I agree with you. I think Nolan's a great director, but I think that I don't know how he's going to do this, because it just doesn't seem to jive with his style. You're absolutely right. It's very dark, and it feels very Dark Knight trilogy in the way that he's lighting it and everything. It feels like, and much like Inception. Tenet was the same. I just watched that one recently, it was fun. I'm going to watch that one again. I feel like I got to watch it twice. So yeah, his style of lighting and coloring and everything, he likes things to be gritty. He likes them to be very grounded feeling. And that, to me, is these casting issues, they're weird, but to me, the biggest issue is, why is Christopher Nolan, who is Mr. Practical Effects, Mr. Gritty Realism, Mr. I tell stories out of order and I play with time travel and all this, what made him want to do the Odyssey? And I'm very concerned that he's going to try to focus more on, as he does with all of his movies, I think he's going to try to focus more on like Odysseus' struggle as a man, and the despair of his journey, and the fear of his wife because Pattinson is trying to court her, and these interpersonal things. Whereas the Odyssey it's an epic mythological tale. The audience, again, this is you have to bring a little bit of the audience expectation. Obviously, it's not just fan service, but there is a little bit where people are going to want to see some monsters. They're going to want to see this larger than life tale, this epic mythology. And Nolan tends to not want to do that. So I don't know if he's going to break and he's going to try something new here. I don't expect him to, but yeah, Nolan's not the guy that I would think would do an epic myth movie like this. It's going to be strange.
Yeah. I totally agree. And again, I'm not as huge a Christopher Nolan fan as a lot of other folks are these days. I really did enjoy Inception when I first saw it. Tenet was interesting. It was my favorite thing he's done, but it was interesting enough. But the fact that most of his movies are very grounded, very gritty, very practical, doesn't really jive with the whole mythological story that he's trying to build here. I don't think he's the right guy to do it. I really don't.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Despot?
The thing is, everything I've seen him so far, it looked kind of mid in the first trailer, and that was when the rumors started in that they were going to have Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy, and they were going to have Elliot Page as Achilles. And then since then, everything I've heard just makes it appear worse and worse. So they've got some rapper in
Oh gosh,
to narrate it.
Travis Scott. Oh my word.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but maybe he's popular. Is he popular, Travis Scott? Is he big?
I wouldn't know. I don't listen to him.
Okay. Anyway, so they've got this rapper in, and my understanding is that he's never acted before, at least not in a movie. He's obviously acted in his own music videos, so he's got a little bit of acting experience.
Yeah.
But he's going to go in, and Nolan said, well, ancient poetry is analogous to modern rap.
Oh, good.
Which
yeah,
isn't true. That's not true, because I mean, rappers are I hesitate to say musical, but okay, musical performers, whereas ancient poets were they were reciting poetry.
They were poets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. It's, you know, if you want to talk about, well, what is analogous to ancient poetry recitation and that kind of oral tradition, I suppose the closest you would get to that would be theater acting. So it might make sense if you wanted to bring in a theater actor, like someone who has that kind of acting style and who doesn't have much experience in front of the camera. That would make sense, because he would want that kind of presentation. He would want them to look a little bit stodgy in front of the camera. But a rapper, it's just a totally different thing. And then he said he didn't want to use an orchestra because there were no orchestras in ancient Greece. Well, there were also no black people in ancient Greece. In fact, there were no black people. There were almost no black people anywhere in the entire Mediterranean world. Now, Afrocentrists will tell you, well, what about North Africa? Because they like to claim all of Africa as just sort of black. And it isn't. There's a gigantic desert called the Saharan Desert between sub-Saharan Africa and the North African coast. And that is why they're sub-Saharan, because they couldn't cross that desert. If you try to cross that desert, you will die. So there were very, very few. Like there were some, I think they're called Numidians in Lower Egypt. That's about it. Like the Mediterranean world was the Mediterranean world was a kind of geopolitical region in and of itself. The Roman Empire, people today tend to think of the Roman Empire as kind of Europe because their history is not great. It really wasn't. It was a Mediterranean empire. So it was based around the Mediterranean Sea. That was the great sort of highway of the Roman Empire. And all the land that touched that sea was Roman. And the people of the Mediterranean world were basically, they were European, right? So if you were to look at Carthage, the BBC did a documentary like a decade ago in which Hannibal was a black man. No, Hannibal was descended from Greeks because Carthage was a Greek colony. He was Pontic, right? So this is what they would have looked like. They would have looked like a sort of modern Greek, Spaniard, Southern Italian, because they spend a lot of time in the sun. But the other thing people forget is that the weather wasn't the same. They think that the weather in sort of southern Italy or northern Africa today was the same back then. It wasn't. I think it depends on the period, but it was actually hotter in some regions. And then there was the sort of Little Ice Age, which was one of the reasons for the Dark Ages, but we'll not get into that. The point I'm getting at is that the Afrocentrist narrative that has emerged on Black Twitter in the attempt to defend this is complete nonsense. It's essentially what I'm getting at. And if you're going to say there were no orchestras in ancient Greece, well, then you also have to take the position that there were no black people in ancient Greece and there were no rappers in ancient Greece. And Helen of Troy, Echo Chamberlain actually did a very good video explaining why the Helen of Troy race swap is so wrong. It's not just that she's black. There are too many sort of steps involved in the suspension of disbelief. Okay. She's black. There's one step, one area of suspension of disbelief. She's not very attractive, to put it politely. And she's supposed to be Helen of Troy. There's another one. Helen of Troy is supposed to be the standard of European beauty. She's African. She's not European. So she can't be held up as the sort of traditional standard of European beauty. She would not be thought of as goddess-like by the Greeks. She would be thought of as exotic and foreign by the Greeks. They wouldn't look up to her in the way that they're supposed to look up to Helen of Troy as a kind of physical exemplar of a living goddess kind of thing. So there's just too many steps between what Nolan is presenting and what the audience expects. There's so much suspension of disbelief involved that it completely just breaks the audience experience with the character. It's also why Snape is such an absolute clanker of a race swap. There's just too many things going on there. It's not just that he's black now; it's that he loses his connection with that very esoteric kind of English whiteness and the culture around that. There's too many things wrong with it. So this is one of the worst race swaps I've ever seen. This and Snape, it's not just the skin tone is different now. The racial features are different. It's and the character wasn't black. It's the cultural, historical, and aesthetic implications of that and the effect that it has on the movie. It is so detrimental. It's just disastrous. And what is really annoying is you'll get these dickheads on Twitter who they'll take a reductivist approach. So they'll say things like, chuds are literally frothing at the mouth because Christopher Nolan cast a black woman in a movie. Like they'll ignore the context and use a reductionist argument to paint you as a racist for complaining about this. Now, I don't care if they call me racist. I get called racist all the time online. And call me whatever the fuck they want. But it doesn't change the fact that this is an atrocious piece of casting. And the entire movie is just beginning to look like a bit of a disaster right now.
Yeah. Now, there's kind of one optimistic, I don't even know if that's optimistic. It's just, if I'm trying to predict where Nolan is going to go with this, you look at his stuff, he really loves to tell stories about chaos, and especially people in coming to grips with the fact that they don't have the control that they think they do. There was a big Dark Knight deal with the Joker, with Bane, about how you're not really as in control as you think, and the world is just one quick step away from chaos, and you don't realize it until you're in it. Tenet was kind of the same way. Oppenheimer got that way about, you created this and now you can't control it. You don't know where it's going to go. And so this is like a theme that he loves to play with. And I could see him trying to basically work that angle again with Odysseus, and the whole movie just being about him being this war hero and this celebrated tactical genius. And then when he's up against the chaos of the gods and their whims and their power, he's helpless. He's just adrift and has no power of his own. And that's a Nolan thing to do. But and I think that would be a cool story to tell. Like, there's nothing wrong with any of that. I think that's fun. But again, I just think that you have to understand that with the Odyssey, the audience is going to bring in a lot with them. And so I don't think that the audience is going to want to come and see Odysseus's struggle with the chaos of life and his powerless state in it. And again, Nolan is not a huge fan of CGI, so it wouldn't shock me if we didn't see up close some of the monsters. Like, it wouldn't shock me if Nolan wanted to try to portray was it Skyla, whatever, I can never get it right. Just as I
believe those are the names.
Yeah, just as like a whirlpool, like if Nolan would want to try to shy away from the mythological and the deities and all that, and just, it's a whirlpool. It's actually just Charybdis is a cliff that has rocks falling off of it, or maybe he'll show some like a quick vine type thing, grab a guy, but not really focus on them. That would be. It would not surprise me if he tried to, again, go with the grounded, the gritty, the real, super realistic, and try to get away from the mythological and the supernatural aspects of it, and make it about Odysseus's struggle with powerlessness and chaos and all of that. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's just that's not really the Odyssey. Now you're getting really far away from, and this was people's complaint about Batman. Right. These are the exact same complaints people had about the Dark Knight series. Was, okay, these are not bad movies. There are cool aspects of them, but damn it, we came to see Batman. We didn't come to see old man, sad Batman who talks like this, because that's terrible direction that he allowed that to happen. So yeah, he went off in that direction, and not everybody is on board for that with this very known quantity of Bruce Wayne. And the same thing with the Odyssey.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, from the normie perspective, because we were just talking about Mixtape, and we all hated it. And we do see, though, that the normies seem to be quite satisfied with it on Steam, right? And with regard to the Odyssey, we can rage all we want on X. Yeah, all 3,000. But I mean, we can rage all we want on X, but the reality is that most people, if they go to the Odyssey, they're going to show up expecting big set pieces. So they want to see the battle with the Cyclops, the slaughter of the suitors, and the the other big set pieces. Some of them are battles, some of them are not. So they're like when they're passing the sirens, that's going to be a big set piece, not necessarily a battle. And Nolan is very good with set pieces. I mean, I think some of his movies are fucking awful. I didn't like Tenet at all. I think Tenet is a mess. There's some good things about it. I really like Kenneth Branagh in it, and there's some amazing scenes. There's a couple of brilliant scenes between Kenneth Branagh and his wife.
Yep.
And that's basically the best stuff in the movie, when he's trying to connect with his wife and she sort of lost her emotional connection with him. That was really good.
Yeah, it was.
But a lot of the stuff around that is just horrible and messy and just a wreck. And the main character was fucking terrible. Can't even remember his name. He doesn't have a name, but in the movie,
he's the protagonist.
He was really bad. It's just a complete non-character. It's like Christopher Nolan forgot to write a character there.
Yeah. But I think that's the same thing. He was supposed to be bewildered the whole time. He was supposed to be all of the time travel elements are outside his control, and he doesn't know what's going on, and he can't control anything, and he's not the cool CIA badass that he thought he was. And like, that's again, all these same ideas that Nolan loves to play with. And sometimes it doesn't land in some situations, like Tenet.
Yeah, but I mean, Neo is like that. He's bewildered, or Marty in Back to the Future, but they're both very strong characters with a clear sense of identity and personality.
Yeah.
I think that might be due in large part to the fact that those characters have a very strong sense of their own self. They're not really insecure. They're not, they're of course bewildered by their circumstances, but they kind of come to understand who they are, and then they can balance out the chaos with that like very grounded nature of their characters. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I kind of wish that Nolan would do that here. He'd have a very self-assured Odysseus balance out with the chaos of the world that he's going into. And that might make for a more realistic approach to the character. I don't really know, though.
Oh, by the way, before I forget, Nerdword, congratulations on 30K subscribers.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Took a little bit of time to get there, but I'm working on it. I am.
Yeah, Nerdword just hit 30,000 subscribers. So if you're listening to this and you haven't checked out her channel, the link to her channel is in the description, so you can head over there and watch some of her stuff.
Thanks, guys.
See, I think I fear that Nolan might get a pass from the normie market on this,
and that sucks.
Because I think he'll do a fairly good job with the set pieces. Now, obviously, when the movie comes out when it gets a digital release, the history geeks and the choreography bros on YouTube will begin to dissect it and talk about how bad it actually all is. But on a big screen on IMAX, I think Nolan can deliver with the set pieces, and that will sort of be normie slop, and most people will like it for that reason. And then they'll give him a pass on the race swaps and stuff like that. And then there'll be the other side of it on the culture war, where you'll have the culture war stuff. You'll have, if you like this movie, then you're a cock and you suck black cock. And if you don't like this movie, then you're a racist. You're going to get that.
Yep.
It's beginning to remind me a little bit of Ghostbusters 2016, in that if this was fucking absurd. Like, if you liked the movie or if you saw it, you were a Hillary supporter, and if you didn't, you were in league with Trump. Fuck me, that was bizarre. But it's giving me those kind of vibes. It's become a big culture war thing, this movie, and I think ultimately it's at the stage now where the review bombing on both sides is inevitable. So you'll get the black Twitter shills who are going to go in and they're going to give it, 9 million% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then you'll get the people who just despise what Nolan has done, how he has just shat all over Greek history. And they'll go and they'll give it 0, even though it doesn't deserve 0, I'm sure. But it's going to be very difficult for this movie to get a fair hearing because of what Nolan has done.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, I don't dislike Nolan for the most part, so I'm going to go see it. I'm interested to see what he does with it, but I don't think it's going to be what the audience is expecting in a lot of ways. And it'll be interesting to see the second weekend drop off because of that. Like, how does the word of mouth affect are people going to walk out like Tenet? I mean, that one bombed because people walked out of that one. They were like, it was confusing. I don't know. I didn't know what was going on. And everybody just sort of heard that it was it was all over the place. It wasn't great. And then it fell off, if I recall. So, and nobody really talks about it anymore either for that reason. I think it's just that word of mouth killed it because it wasn't what they were expecting either from Nolan or just in a movie in general. So.
Quick question for you guys. I mean, this kind of takes it back to the casting a little bit, but like, if you had to pick an ideal Odysseus, who'd you pick? Which actor would you choose?
Odysseus, Josh Brolin.
Okay.
But you, Greg?
Gosh, Brolin would be a good one. Oddly enough, I think that. Oh, who's the guy that's playing Agamemnon? I cannot think of his name.
John Bernthal?
Yeah, I think Bernthal would have been fine. Or I think, oddly enough, Carl Urban, I think, could have done it.
Me too. That's who I was going to pick as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Carl Urban would be a good pick for. Fuck, he'd be perfect. I'm a big Carl Urban. I mean, I'm a Carl Urban stan, like big time. So
he is good. Somebody in the comments said Michael Fassbender. I think that would be good.
Michael Fassbender, I think, would be good.
Would have been good. Yeah, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah, that would
work.
One of your commenters said Damon, yeah, he's kind of the like Matt Damon. He's good. He's a decent pick, but he's not. He wouldn't be my first choice. He'd be like my fourth or fifth choice if I would actually sit down and write.
A million actors I'd probably pick before him. Michael Fassbender's up there as well, I think. I know David Wenham might be a little bit too old, but I think he just turned 60. But I think he could still do it credibly if he had. Obviously, Paul Mescal and Aaron Taylor Johnson are too young, but I think if you were to age them up slightly, maybe they could do a decent job of it as well. Michael Fassbender too, Hugh Jackman, James McAvoy maybe if we were going that route. I just can think of a million other male actors for the role of Odysseus as opposed to Matt Damon. And I was telling Greg I was really disappointed with the casting for him.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me show you my pick for Helen of Troy. You'll love this.
Oh, okay.
So
please let it be Gal Gadot. No, I'm joking.
So the funny thing is, I think she would actually do fine.
It's true. Yeah.
From the look of it, like she's able to walk into a scene with a lot of presence. She has like a regal look. I think that she has a lot of the charisma and the presence and the visuals of Helen. They just can't let her talk at all. Like it has to be a completely non-speaking part.
Right. So here's my Helen of Troy. Now let me explain. Right. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Despot, she's Asian. Now, hold on. I would have her as Helen of Troy because I know for a fact that it would fucking enrage leftists. Mm-hmm. They'd be absolutely enraged that she's actually hot, right? And you say my attitude would be like, well, what are you complaining about? I race swapped her. You guys love race swaps. What's the problem? They'd be angry that I race swapped it but didn't hot swap it. Because what they really love about Lupita Nyong'o is that she's not only been race swapped, they've replaced a beautiful woman with a very plain woman. So this would enrage them, which would please me. But if I'm gonna go culture war, I'm just gonna troll everyone. That would be my attitude. I'd be like, fuck the lot of you. Do you know what I want to do? I want to make my own Despots Odyssey. And I'm just going to race swap everybody. I'm going to have Nerdword playing Odysseus. Greg is going to play Odysseus' wife. Like, that's how it's going to be. And then I'm going to have like a beautiful Korean actress playing Helen of Troy in one scene. And then it'll be like a random black homeless man in another scene. Like, that's what we need. Oh, fuck. I tried to watch Meet the Spartans the other day. It is one of the worst, most appalling piles of shit I've ever attempted to watch. Me and my wife gave up on it after 15 minutes. Fucking horrendous. They don't do parodies or spoofs anymore. And fuck me. When I saw that movie, I thought, yeah, maybe that's a good thing. Dear Christ. All right, 2 seconds till I... oh, sorry, wrong one. So we're going to talk a little bit about YouTuber movies. By the way, with regard to YouTuber movies, don't forget to watch the greatest YouTuber movie, The Despots, I Can Fix Velma. That's the best indie movie on YouTube. All right. Great soundtrack too. Okay, so these are 3 YouTuber movies that have all come out, and it's not just that they've done well. They've done amazingly well. Like Sorry, can you talk about this 2 seconds, Greg? You go ahead, Greg. You talk about it when I fucking look up the numbers here for Backrooms.
Yep. So I am actually excited to see Backrooms and Obsession. They look good, and I haven't seen Iron Lung yet. I mean, you guys have watched a lot. I am a Puritan. I don't like sex scenes, and I am a big old wuss when it comes to horror movies, so I don't watch them a whole lot. And nobody else in my house, like, I'm gonna throw Mrs. Owen under the bus a little bit too, because we can't watch those together because I don't want to get up in the middle of the night to walk her to the bathroom. So I don't watch a lot of them, but I am extremely optimistic and excited about the fact that movies are turning away from, like, Hollywood is not the gatekeeper that it thinks it is anymore. And the audience in general, like, you can fool them for a while and you can guide them a little bit for a while, but after some time, the audience they're not even going to rebel. They're just going to give up. And so what these movies represent to me, I don't even call these, like, they're not anti-woke, or like, the audience, most of them don't care. They just want a good movie. And the thing that we've been seeing for the last decade is the movies, like, you can talk about the culture war or whatever, but for the average normie viewer, all they're thinking is, do I like it or not? Is it good or is it not? And for the most part, they're not. And the normie viewer doesn't stop to question why. They don't think, well, it was bad because of race swaps and it was super gay. They just think, I just was bored and I didn't like that movie and I never thought about it again. They don't really put as much analytics into it. So I'm really excited to see these absolutely dominating over Mandalorian. The what that represents is incredible for the hubris of Disney and everything they did to the Star Wars brand. And more than that, I'm happy to see the independent nature of these people are very passionate. The guy that made Backrooms, I mean, this dude it was a creepypasta from 4chan. He was like, you know what? I love this so much. I'm going to make fucking cool horror movies on YouTube just because. And then it got picked up by A24 and they gave him the funding and they made an entire movie out of it. Markiplier put his own money into Iron Lung. I mean, this dude raised money. It was all his own. He took a big risk on it, directed it, and it made a ton. The guys from Obsession, that's another YouTube channel. I think it's called This Is a Bad Idea, something to that effect. It was like comedy sketches, but they also did horror shorts. They did other types of shorts. So this is great as a viewer because all of these movies represent passion. And they represent the audience not giving a shit what studio is making these. They just care is the movie good or not? Does word of mouth say it's good? Are the people behind it passionate? This is like the pureness of movies that we used to have decades ago. And seeing it back gives me so much hope. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, Greg, though. I'll be honest. I am a horror movie wimp. I have the spine of an earthworm when it comes to horror movies. And I watched both Obsession and Backrooms yesterday back to back. And I think like for me, maybe at least a third of the movie, I had my hoodie over my face like this because I could barely watch. I was so freaked out. But Obsession, I think, is definitely one of the best movies of this year, to be honest. I don't think we're gonna be able to get into spoilers because I don't think you've seen it and you're planning to. So I don't want to ruin anything for you. But it's incredibly creepy. I think it was made for like what, $750,000. It was on a shoestring budget, like the shoestring budgets, and it's made, I think, over 100 million at this point at the box office, which is beyond impressive for a small film like this. So I really hope we get more films like this. Maybe if we can delve a little bit more into different genres, that'd be great too. Because again, like I said, I'm not a horror movie fan, and this stuff freaks me out. But I really do applaud YouTubers like this who have decided that they're going to just forego the nonsense of Hollywood and just make their own stuff. And I think Hollywood should be very, very, very scared.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up the horror movie point, and that is a very good point. And because so far all of these have been horror movies. They're easy to make on a low-ish budget. I mean, I know some of these Backrooms was like 20-30 million. Iron Lung, I think, was 25 million, something like that. Obsession is the standout shoestring budget, but for the most part, horror movies are much cheaper. Like, they're famously cheap to make, and they can easily make money. So I am interested. I'm really keeping my eyes on the Bloodborne movie. That's a video game that's coming out, and that is being directed by, I think, Jacksepticeye, or he's producing it. I can't remember. I'm interested to see how that goes, because that is going to be stepping outside the genre a little bit, because somebody in the comments did bring up like Drinker's proof of concept for his show, his action show. It did not do well, didn't really get a lot of traction. The Stuckman, whatever, Shelby Oaks thing, that did not do well. So there are examples of them not doing well, and those are all outside the horror genre. So I'm wondering if this is only this only works here, or maybe those were just bad. They just didn't work. Obviously, they're not all winners. Can we get outside the horror genre? I want to see it.
Nerdword,
Yeah.
was Obsession focused just on those two main characters?
There was a small cast. There was a couple other main characters who kind of orbited the two of them, but for the most part, 85% of the movie was just the two of them. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking with a budget like that, it would have to be, because one of the, and this is the thing, when you can do anything, you lack those restrictions that force you to get creative. But with Obsession, you've got a very small budget, and it is definitely a case of, okay, we can't have that many characters on screen because we can't afford we can't afford the actors, we can't afford the blocking, we can't afford the sets that accommodate 7 people. We can't afford the cameras and the rigging for all that. So it's going to be just focusing on 2 characters.
Right.
Or you think, okay, well, I've got $750K to make this movie. Let me see what kind of script I can come up with that's going to really maximize that. As opposed to, say, the Disney approach. And this is their business model. They will just keep filming and refilming and do their audience testing until they either reach the point of diminishing returns or they get something that is, they're reasonably satisfied with. So, for example, with Captain America Brave New Slop, they just gave up, basically.
Yep.
They gave up the reshoots and thought, okay, we're way past the point of diminishing returns, just release the fucking thing.
Oh gosh, that movie was awful.
That was, I think that might have been worse than the Marvels. That might be the worst Marvel movie. Jesus Christ, that was something else.
Supergirl might have us beat, though, come July. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, that's looking like a bomb.
Oh God,
I can't wait. I can't.
Millie Alcock's trying her best to drive it even further.
She has a hand grenade in both hands. She's got the grenades that Mando had in the movies, and she's just ready to chuck them at the.
I'm done giving actors and actresses the benefit of the doubt because they're young. And I understand that when you go to Hollywood, they infect your mind with the mind virus. I don't care. Look, Daisy Ridley was able to get through like a decade at fucking Disney without being a total bitch. And Millie Alcock is already giving 2 middle fingers to the audience. Millie, if you're watching, just stop now. Just stop now, or your career is going to end up just like Brie Larson's and just like Rachel Zegler's. Okay? Just stop being a wanker. Okay? Say nice things in your interviews. Just be nice.
Or if you can't, just don't say anything at all. Steer it away from politics if you can, or anything like that.
If you're just a boring person, like an absolute fucking boring person with nothing knocking around in your fucking empty head, fine, just smile and make wee jokes or something, or say or respond to simple questions in a simple way. Stop going after people. Life is hard enough without these rich, fucking privileged, pampered, wee spoiled dickheads sticking the boot in and giving everybody the middle finger for not sticking their nose up their ass. It's like, I'm not being filleted regularly by the male fan base, therefore they're all misogynist pigs. Fuck that. Fuck her. Seriously, fuck her. I'm sick hearing it. And I hope that movie fucking bombs. Fuck Millie Alcock and her shit Supergirl movie. It's not even funny, or I can't even give it a pass anymore. The fan baiting, attacking fans, accusing them of sexism and misogyny. Shut the fuck up. If you want to talk about misogyny, why don't you talk about what's going on in Iran? Talk about the hijab protests over there. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're not going to do that because you're a fucking coward and you don't actually care about women's rights. You just want to front, right? You just want to look like you're cool and you have the fashionable opinions. I watched Charlie's Angels recently from 2019.
Oh, gosh. How'd you get through that one?
That was tough. Elizabeth Banks directed that. There is a scene in that movie in which Elizabeth Banks walks around Istanbul wearing a fucking hijab in a feminist movie, a movie that claims to be feminist and empowering for women, and she's walking around in a fucking hijab.
I can't take it.
The hypocrisy is insane.
I can't take Elizabeth Banks seriously when it comes to anything anymore. I've seen a few interviews of her where she's talking about how women need to come and support, or excuse me, men need to come and support female-led movies, and I just think to myself, well, then make them good.
Yeah, make a good movie.
Make them good, and then they'll come. I guarantee it.
Yeah, but I mean, like we say, this is the antidote to that disease. And we were talking a little bit about. I haven't seen Shelby Oaks. I did attempt to watch the Drinkers. I can't really call it a movie. It was really just a sequence of very poorly filmed action scenes. fuck, what was it called?
Oh, shoot.
Crap.
It was based on his novels anyway, but
Yeah.
it was
Ryan Drake, something like that. I think that's
but it was based, and he admitted that it was a failure himself. Like he even said that he thought Shelby Oaks was better than that. And I think my understanding is that they weren't able to get it to any sort of streamer, and they just had to release it on YouTube. But fair play to him for making the attempt, right? And he even did a video talking about the lessons that he learned from that experience, which I think he now regards as a failure. But fair play to him for making the attempt. And they did recently make something much better. They made a short movie called All in Good Time. Muller released it on his channel. It's 20 minutes long, and it's really good. It is a good 20-minute short movie. I really enjoyed it. So that's, they're making progress there. Shelby Oaks I haven't seen, but stuff like this, YouTubers actually making stuff that it's not just that these are good, these are culturally relevant in a way that Hollywood stuff just isn't. Hollywood stuff is regime propaganda, right? It's not, even when movies aren't actively pushing out propaganda messages, they're ticking boxes or they're obeying the rules. So, Nerdword, I know you've talked a little bit about girl bosses, how in modern movies, a man is not allowed to defeat a woman.
Mm-hmm.
For example, that's one rule.
Mm-hmm.
That, and you'll never see Hollywood break that. And you have to see a girl boss scene where, like, Sigourney Weaver comes in on an X-wing and blows something up. And so they're still following the rules. They're still bound by the scriptures of the regime. But YouTubers aren't. So YouTubers can make a movie about a woman stalking a man. You couldn't make that in Hollywood, right? That's not allowed because it's not, women don't commit sexual assault. They don't do that. Only men commit sexual assault. Only women are victims. Men cannot be victims.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an example of YouTube able to tap into the culture in a way that Hollywood can't, because it is bound by essentially a political dogma, ideology. Yeah. So these YouTuber movies, it's not just that they're good, they're culturally relevant and they speak to people in a way that Hollywood are incapable of doing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hollywood don't do Fight Club anymore. They do Mando and Grogu.
Yeah. God.
Yeah. No, I recently watched Hard 8 by PTA because I was trying to get ready for some of the original topics that we had talked about for this stream. And I remember thinking to myself that they wouldn't make a movie like this anymore, especially with Gwyneth Paltrow just sitting in the chair, having been beat up by this guy that she was trying to, I don't know, do her job with or whatever. They wouldn't show a film like that anymore because she was beaten down. She had bruises on her face. Her makeup was running. She was a mess. She was clearly a really messed up person. And this was made like 1996, I think. And I kept thinking to myself, they're not going to make a movie like this anymore because no woman would ever be shown in such a vulnerable position like this. And it's a shame because in doing so, you remove aspects of a person's humanity. You remove their ability to feel. You remove their ability to emote in certain ways. And most of these films become generic. They become cookie cutter, and they become very, very boring to watch. But films like this, where the characters go through a wide range of emotions, they feel completely organic.
Yeah.
How would you rate Backrooms? I'm going to see it today. I haven't seen it.
Oh, have you guys not seen either of these, or have you seen Obsession, Despot?
Obsession's not out in Korea, so I have to wait.
Oh no,
I have to wait until streaming. Not going to attempt to seize any merchant vessels on the high seas. I don't do that for indie movies. I like to support them financially.
Yeah.
So I'll wait until that one comes out on streaming, and Backrooms I'm going to see today.
Okay.
How is Backrooms?
Okay. Well, it was very cohesive and well put together for the first half. It kind of fell apart a little bit in the second half for me, and ended up getting, of course, really, really bizarre. But I think that's what the nature of the content is supposed to be. The Backrooms are supposed to leave you with more questions than answers, and every time you come up with an answer for one question, it opens up 10 more. So in a way, it's sort of fit, but I wouldn't go see it again just because it was more horror in the first half, and then in the second half, it got very strange and psychological. You might like that, I don't know, but I would definitely give it maybe an 8 out of 10. I think I would. That's how I would rate it. 7.
That's pretty solid. I also think that. I'll just check. By the way, in 1 week, so this movie cost $10 million.
Right.
on its first weekend, it has made $118 million.
Holy Moses. Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, that's just one weekend. You compare that to, Disney spent $500 million on Mando and Grog, and they're not even going to hit 400 million, right?
Was it that much? Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Okay.
No, the production budget was 165, I think.
Okay.
And then they would have spent maybe, hold on, did I say $500 million or 250 million they spent?
I think
You said $500 million.
Oh, no, sorry. I meant that's the break even. They spent 250,
okay.
At least 250, between 250 and 300 on marketing and production together. So they need $500 million to break even, and they're not even going to get 400 million. So it's a bomb for them.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the guy who's making backrooms, that A24 made that. So they get all the money. The director doesn't get any of that. He got a fee. They're not going to give him points. Like, you need to be a major, powerful director and a producer to get points. But anyway, so A24 spent $10 million on this, and already they've made 112 million or something. And like that, and that's what studios want to hear, that level of profit, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, I know that Hollywood are trying to sort of gatekeep, but when it comes to money, ideology tends to melt away a lot of the time. And I'm sure you've seen this in your own life, in your own lives. Like, I'll give a recent example. I used a piece of music that was advertised as a copyright breaker, right? This music is free. Anybody can use it. Fuck copyright, man. Let's break the YouTube copyright. I used it in my Worst of Awards video. The guy that wrote it made a copyright claim on it because he wanted money. He wanted the cash from that video, and he thought, fuck it. That video is doing really well. I want a quick buck. Your principles can disappear like that if you can make a quick buck. And I'm sure you've seen it yourselves in your own lives. So there'll be plenty of investors in Hollywood thinking, yes, I know that I'm a slave to BlackRock. Yes, I know that I need to push the message and be a good propagandist. But at the same time, I don't actually believe in any of this bollocks. And I'm just a vapid, selfish piece of shit who just wants to make a quick buck. So maybe I will actually look at YouTube and see if I can make my own backrooms and get $100 million in my back pocket. There's going to be a lot of that going around in Hollywood. Seriously, a lot of investors are going to be looking at this stuff after those kind of profit margins, thinking, why the fuck would I put my money in Disney? I can have a closer look at these YouTubers and see what's going on there. Maybe there's more money to be made. It'll happen. I'm telling you, like, you're going to see more of this stuff for good and for bad. Like, you're going to get some utter fucking clankers. So for every major success, you get a lot of sort of horrible imitators. For every Nirvana. And yeah, that's what's going to happen here. You're going to get a lot of imitation, but it's good. It's good. And I'm also really pleased that these two movies have humiliated Disney and Kathleen Kennedy and Mando and Grogu. That's just a little cherry on top for me.
I'm interested to see if people start funding comedies by YouTubers, especially because those are usually pretty cheap. And a lot of, when you guys know, when you're making videos, there is, I'm kind of surprised that YouTube hasn't been feeding the movie industry and the TV industry for a while, because, you guys know there's a lot of production skills you gotta bring to it. You've got to have vocal timing. You gotta be your own director. You've got to be your own writer. There's just a lot of back end stuff that you have to do to make a good YouTube video and succeed on here. And especially, if you want to be funny or whatever. So I am interested to see if this wave of YouTuber movies starts bringing back comedies. And I would love to see some mid-budget comedies come back as well. That's another secret hope that I have is, Adam Sandler is old. He's not making movies anymore. And I wouldn't want to see those exact type, but I do think that the guys behind Obsession, like, their big thing was just skits to begin with. Key and Peele, started making movies because they were just doing skits. So I'm hoping to see that as part of the YouTuber funding wave.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at some of the super chats before we move on to our next topic. Just a moment. Can you talk about Hell Grind trailer? Everyone is talking. YouTubers, but a film costing $500K taking a few months to make. That's a game changer.
I haven't seen it.
Hell Grind. No, I haven't seen the trailer for that. In fact, I've never heard of Hell Grind. That's the first I've heard of it. Probably unpopular opinion. This is from Ryan Bailey. $5. Thank you, Ryan. I blame Arcane and Spider-Verse for this ugly art style and animation. So he's talking about the art style for Mixtape, where it's kind of aggressively geometric.
Yeah.
And I can't say I mind that art style because I'm coming from the perspective of I detest bean mouth, where there are no right angles, where there are there's no geometry at all. Everything is rounded and circular and lame and gay and soy. And I fucking detest bean mouth. So that kind of Arcane and Spider-Verse style, I think their animation styles are absolutely beautiful. And I actually thought that the animation style for Mixtape was the strongest aspect of it. It did have some nice visuals, but Greg, what do you think of that visual animation style?
See, I'm with you. I think I don't remember which video I mentioned this in, or it was K-pop Demon Hunters, I think, because I like that as well. The low frame rate, that style, I don't mind it at all. I like it, and yeah, I know it's very dividing, but I'm completely just gonna ditto your entire opinion because I hate the Steven Universe, the new Pixar, the Bean Mouth SoCal art school shit. It's awful, and I'll take stylized low frame rate Spider-Verse over any of that every single day.
I will take a toddler writing fucking stick figures and dog shit over that. Nerdword, what did you think of that Mixtape animation style?
Oh my gosh, it was very. I'll be honest with you. I'm not really, when it comes to animation, I'm kind of a complete normie. But it wasn't the most. It was very dull. The colors were very pale and washed out. It wasn't the most vibrant or engaging. It could have been if they just used the characters felt very robotic in their movements as well. That's probably why I checked out, along with the very bad cringy dialogue and the desperate attempts to play nostalgia when these characters really shouldn't have any nostalgia at all because they're 17 years old.
Yeah. All right. Well, so Meshator, €5. I think Mixtape was rejected movie or show script. Fake indie funded by Larry Ellison's daughter. Larry Ellison is some sort of billionaire. That's my understanding. And he funded the entire project. So it was masquerading as a kind of indie game. But no, this was big money garbage. And even got funding from the Australian government. Fuck me. There you go, Australians. Your tax money at work making fucking Mixtape.
Making Mixtape.
If there's any Aussies listening to this, hey, I know we all hate paying taxes. I just had to hand a fucking month's income to the Korean government. That wasn't much fun. Fuck, it was more than a month's income, actually. And that was just the fucking income tax. Never mind the 9% I have to pay those bastards on my health insurance, but whatever. Moving on. So yeah, Aussies, there's your tax dollars at work.
No, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same up here in Canada. Like, what can I say? We're taxed to death up here in the Great White North.
Kink Shaman, $2. Thank you, Kink. And the Clawfather, I like that name, $5. There's something to honing one's skills on YouTube, especially if you're doing short films and skits. No studios to AstroTurf. Success relies on merit. That's exactly right. And look, we've all experienced this in our own channels. Like, you go back, certainly for my early videos and Greg's. Sorry, Greg, I'm just going to be honest about it. You go back to the early videos and they're shite. They're shite. But
I've deleted all mine.
you look at the later stuff, and much better. Like even my fucking women talking video. So I had to re-up it recently. It was first released about 2.5 years ago, started 2024, and so I had to re-edit it to get it past copyright. And when I was re-editing it, I was surprised at how bad the original edit was. I was looking at it thinking, was I really this bad at editing 2.5 years ago? Like, there were so many little mistakes and big mistakes and just lazy edits and just downright fucking bad edits. Like, this isn't funny. Like, this is actively unfunny. This is annoying me type edits. And that was 2.5 years ago. So you do get much better, and whatever you're doing, and you'll get better in ways that you don't even notice you're getting better. So if you're doing skits on YouTube, live action skits especially, you're going to get much better at all this stuff, to the point where you'll eventually be able to make short movies and eventually make $100 million in one weekend at the box office, because you're not Disney making dog shit that everybody hates.
Yeah.
And that is the beautiful thing about YouTube. Obviously, fucking YouTube can be a bit of a wanker and make things hard for you with copyright and stuff. But as long as you're smart, like there's the Angry Bootneck, he's smart. He has a fucking veritable dictionary of euphemisms that he uses to get around YouTube and their practices that they use to stomp on small channels. Thank you very much, Angry Bootneck. That's for your health insurance, you poor bastard. It costs a lot more than $20, but thank you very much, Angry Bootneck. Very much appreciated. Maybe I'll do a fucking streamer, me and Bootneck just rant for 2 hours about British politics. Just fucking full on. We're not even doing. I'm not even going to pretend that this is about movies or shows. I'm just going to fucking rip into what is happening. But my fucking head will explode doing that. Let's see what else. I'm trying to find my place here. Give me a second.
I did. I looked up that Hell Grinders movie, or Hell Grind movie. That's going to have a hard time getting traction because of the feelings about AI. It's a fully AI made movie. I don't know how much went into it, but fully AI generated.
I think I know what's going on here. Maybe they started that a couple of years ago before AI fatigue hit, but man, AI fatigue has hit hard. People fucking hate AI now. A couple of years ago, they were on the fence about it, maybe, and people think maybe we can use this to make movies and stuff. Now, forget about it. The culture has massively turned against it, and it's beginning to look more and more like a failed experiment. I hate AI. You hate AI. I have a zero AI policy on my channel. I don't use any AI for anything. I don't use ChatGPT. I would rather just make the mistakes than put my script into like ChatGPT and say what words are too repetitive or something. I just zero tolerance policy.
Yeah.
I just want it to be human. I want to make the mistakes, and that'll actually make it more human. So yeah, I want nothing to do with that shit.
Yeah.
Ed Sullivan, only second time I've ever sent a super chat. Listening to you guys is like soothing music for me.
Oh, thank you very much.
You should have fucking heard. I've got the fucking theme tune written. Well, I got the theme tune written.
Oh, no.
So it's got it. I got the opening.
Here we go.
Welcome to Greg on and Despot Show. That's the opening. You're gonna hear the full medley in our next show. I've got the whole thing written. It's like 30 seconds long, banging tune, and I just need to do the backing vocals and some keyboard stuff and everything. It's gonna be really good. And Greg, I think you're gonna get your editor to do a little fucking full intro, isn't he? Like to the music, little music video. So hopefully we'll have that ready by the next show. It's gonna be great. Can't wait.
We're gonna be professionals. It's gonna be great. We need to get an outro too. We gotta get an outro one.
Yeah, and Chunk of Coal saw some pictures of the George Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, and I'm excited to go visit it. Probably my only reason to go to America at this point. Cool. And we have OG Daddy 214, $5. Do you think the bad superhero movies of the 90s, like Batman and Robin, are better than the superhero movies of today? I would say yes, because the superhero movies that you will get, sort of anything really released this decade, they're so fucking generic and boring, and they all just look like sort of blender imitations of each other.
Yeah,
I'm so done with superhero movies. I'm gonna jump for 2 seconds, guys. You can answer that.
Yeah.
No problem.
What do you think, Nerdword?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I didn't get into superheroes until like maybe 10 years ago. So it's kind of, I haven't really seen a bunch of the early Superman stuff from like the early 80s and 90s, but I'm probably safe in assuming that yes, they're probably better than whatever we're getting right now. The Superman movie, I think I tore that one a new one in my review from last year because I hated it so freaking much. I had issues with Man of Steel when it first came out. I had issues with Batman versus Superman, but for the love of God, Henry Cavill was Superman to a T. It was just the writing that ended up failing him. I have nothing against David Cornsweet. I thought he was fine, but the fact that James Gunn's nonsense just ruined that movie for me, and I despise it like to high heaven.
You should go watch. You should go back and watch some of the old ones. The old like the Batman and Robin, especially the Tim Burton ones, the George Clooney, like they're good and bad because there are parts of them that make no fucking sense. But yes, they're hammy, they're campy, and there is a sincerity to that you absolutely don't have anymore. And some of it, like, you know, going back to the Nolan thing, like they didn't bother to explain some shit. They just didn't care. My daughter was watching them because she's like been trying to go back and watch older movies and stuff, especially the superhero stuff. And so she was watching one in the living room, and I saw it, and I saw the Poison Ivy and Bane one, and it's like a fucking acid trip. First of all, most of the movie is in black light. It's all glowing. Somebody told Uma Thurman to have like a Southern Belle drawl for no reason whatsoever. They do They do tracking shots in the city. The city is crazy looking, but it all comes together and it works. It's a great time, even if parts of you are like, wow, that doesn't make any sense. Why did Poison Ivy show up and all she suddenly has henchmen that all dress like her? Where the fuck did they get these costumes? Who cares? It's great, and they have a good time. The fight scenes are fun. Like they're sincere and they're fun.
Yeah,
I got to show you this. So I was putting together some thumbnail ideas, and I came up with this one. This was I didn't actually end up using it, but this was my favorite. Look at that. So it's Greg's face, like he's sort of almost creepily staring at Nerdword.
He's just looking over my shoulder. I feel stalked.
It's really weird. It's like Nerdword is the celebrity that's been dreaming of meeting for years. And he's finally seen the back of her.
Oh my gosh. Oh dear, Despot.
That was such a hideous thumbnail. I mean, Nerdword, you look great in it, obviously, but
thank you.
Visually, it was just such a nightmare that I had to show you that.
That's hilarious. Hilarious.
I always I make like a couple of thumbnails from my videos, and then for main videos, I'll make like 20 thumbnails. Most of them are variants on the same thumbnail, but yeah, I just thought that was funny. All right, so our last thing we're gonna do. Do we have time? We don't really have time, do we, for the gaming section? What do you think, Greg?
Well, we can make it quick, or we can just save it for next time. It's totally good.
Nah, we'll save it. It's just there's too much going on.
Fair
enough. So I think we'll just wrap things up and keep this one just a tidy little sub 230 maybe. So Nerdword, are you working on any videos at the minute?
Well, I was going to do a review of Obsession, a spoiler-filled review. So if anybody wants to check that out, they can. Because I had a lot to talk about, and I was a tiny bit disappointed you guys haven't seen it yet, because there's a million things I need to talk about when it comes to that movie. But you're all going to be watching it, so it's fine. So that'll be coming out, and then I think I have a Supergirl movie video planned with regards to how trauma doesn't build a character. So that'll be coming out within a couple of weeks too.
You don't like the intergenerational trauma or the dealing with trauma tropes?
Not at all. I despise them. That is probably the worst trope I have for the girl boss, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's used as a counterintuitive, it's used as a cudgel to just basically explain away the actions of every single character, and it drives me berserk.
You can tell that a lot of the writers and a lot of the people that are making this rubbish today, they have done counseling, they've been through extensive counseling and therapy, because it is in every fucking other movie and show you see now. It was in the Malcolm in the Middle reboot there, like the little special. It's in so much shit now, and it's like these fucking weirdos. And Greg, this is an honest question: is the obsession with therapy, because it's a very American thing? Like if someone in like Ireland said, "I'm doing therapy," that would be unusual. I just think that's a bit weird. Why don't you just fucking go get hammered, right? But in America, is it just broad American culture that thinks of this as normal, or is it just a specific type of sort of liberal white urban Americans that are really into it?
No, it's broad. It's like a regular part of certain. Not everybody goes to therapy, but it's part of the vernacular. I've noticed where people that I know, I don't think go to, but they'll still say like, "Oh, you should go to therapy. Oh, that person needs therapy." And I've talked to people that have tried to get, like, all the therapists are always full. So I know the demand is high because people talk about they can't find a therapist. The whole BetterHelp thing blew up because you just can't find them. It is popular, and it's not just in Los Angeles.
Yeah, up here in Canada, it's kind of like that too. Especially when it comes to books discussing like the inner workings of adults and things like that. Greg, I work in the publishing industry, so I see a lot of books that have to do, especially picture books that have to do with children exploring their feelings or learning how to rank their emotions or things like that, and the figuring that out, that it's all normal. It's kind of exhaustive, to be honest with you, especially in terms of publishing, because these books are going to be around forever and ever and ever. And you don't just get like a Robert Munch or a Dr. Seuss book anymore. It's all about having to know how to read your feelings and how to express your feelings and how to explore your feelings. And by the end of it, I'm just tired.
God, it's the fucking imposition of this HR feminism on society at an emotional level. It's like, let's just feminize everything in the most lame, soy way we can. Let's turn everyone into a fucking manic 40-year-old woman.
The funny thing though is it's not always consistent. I have not seen all of The Boys since season 2, but I've been reading a lot about it and the plot lines and everything. And apparently I've seen some people bring up some good points that according to trauma culture and all of that, Homelander should not have been a bad guy. Like in the show, if they were being consistent, he was a villain. Like, let's not fucking mince words about that. But the show contradicts itself in that regard, or the people writing it, because this guy was raised in a lab. He was manipulated. He was lied to his entire life. Like, he was traumatized in a way that even generational traumas with their angry boomer parents have never experienced. But the show still treats him like he's a piece of shit. And it's because he's a white guy. Who is, Christian, whatever, like he thinks he's Jesus, and they fucking threw the baby out with it. They jump so many sharks with that show. But yeah, they don't even follow their own logic. Only certain people get the currency of victimhood and generational trauma. Other people, well, just too bad, you're evil, and that's just all. You were born evil, so sorry. Your skin color makes you bad. God, I wish there was a word.
Before we go, I just have a question for you two, and this is going to be a topic that me and Greg are probably going to have to discuss in the next show or the following show. Enshittification. So at some point, enshittification might even just be the word of the year, because last year it was slop, right? I think maybe the word of the year for 2026 is just going to end up as enshittification, because it's everything now. And I was editing my video, and I typed in Breath of the Wild, and I needed a little Breath of the Wild game clip for some footage in the video. And when I hit enter, it was just a sea of YouTube shorts. YouTube shorts have gotten fucking nuts. Like, I was actively having to filter them out of my results. I don't watch shorts. I can't fucking stand them. And I got this wonderful Chrome extension called Block YouTube Shorts. I strongly recommend it. Let me give you the exact name. So if you're listening to this, it's called Chrome Web Store Remove YouTube Shorts. It's nice, great. It is great. It removed all the shorts from every part of YouTube. I don't have to see any shorts advertised. It's just the videos. And on my mobile, I was able to adjust the settings so that I don't have to see any more shorts. And it's been great. No more shorts on YouTube. Fantastic. Yeah. In fact, YouTube need to make that an option. They need to make YouTube Shorts its own fucking thing, or just an option like settings. See shorts. No. Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, chat, let me just ask the chat here. What do you think of YouTube Shorts? Because I am fucking sick of them. I'm done with them. I don't want to ever watch another YouTube short. Okay. It's not what I go to YouTube for. What do you guys think of shorts? Please let me know in the chat. Anyway, so Greg and Nerdword, it could be anything. It could be your car trying to sell you shit with advertisements, or you can't use the heated seat without a fucking $14 a month subscription. Whatever it is, how are you experiencing shitification in your own lives?
Video games. Video games are being enshittified constantly. That's my next video. Is I'm super glad to see live service dying, because video games got enshittified because everything needed to be online. Everything had to have a multiplayer, had to have a battle pass, it had to have cosmetics to sell, it has to have, even if it doesn't have those things, it has to have DLC. And it's day one DLC, which means it was just part of the game, and they carved it out to sell it to you 2 months later. Video games have been completely fucked by enshittification, because it's not enough to just make a game and sell a game. You have to sell a subscription. You have to sell ongoing revenue, and it gets baked into the design, and it ruins the design of every game that it's a part of.
I'm going to go the obvious route and say social media, specifically with TikTok, because there's a million different ads on TikTok, specifically for things like phone cases, vacations. I think the most common ad I'm seeing is this one for that Meghan Trainor is advertising for Arm & Hammer power sheets. And it's the weirdest ad I've ever seen, because she's singing in that strange 60s doo-wop style that she's famous for, and has somehow managed to replicate for every single song for the last 10 years. But yeah, I definitely say that TikTok has gone down the crapper when it comes to that sort of thing too.
Yeah. And just one more super chat from Blaze 4364, $5. Hate to derail, especially since I'm late here, but has anyone brought up the bricks and minifigs scandal tonight? Reckless Ben did a great video on it. I don't even know what that's referencing.
No, do I?
No, I hadn't heard about it.
No.
Hold on, bricks and minifig. I'm just genuinely curious now. Let me have a look. A dispute over a prized Star Wars Lego collection led to a YouTube crusade. Then came the stalking charges in Utah. Okay, that sounds interesting. So that's the headline. Sounds weird and sounds like something that got out of hand. But no, I'll have to look into that. Maybe I'll watch some YouTube videos about the bricks and minifig scandal. I've been trying to. I did look a little into the quartering scandal recently, whereby he used his YouTube clout to get his critics' channels deleted, something like that.
Yeah.
I watched that guy's video a few years ago. Like I will regularly just click don't recommend channel on YouTube. My YouTube is very curated. That's why I got rid of shorts. I like to keep. I call it like an entertainment diet almost. I think you can have a horrible entertainment diet if you're not curating it, if you're not getting rid of all the shit. Information diet, educational diet, all that stuff. And so a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I was watching a quartering video and I was just thinking, this guy is fucking garbage. He's terrible. Like he is so fucking boring. He has no aura. He has no charisma. He's very dull. He has these long gaps in between his sentences, which he's clearly practiced to drag out his videos. These long meandering intro. It was one of those channels I just don't get why he had so many subscribers. So I just got clicked don't recommend channel, and this boring motherfucker. And it turns out he's a scumbag who was using YouTube to smash his critics. And I've been in that position. That piece of fuck director, that Israeli director, what's his name?
That took down your
Guy Native had one of my videos criticizing his short movie, his Oscar-winning short movie, exposing it to the piece of shit that it was. He personally got that video taken down and copyright struck my channel. It was the worst case of censorship I've ever seen until the quartering got the entire fucking channel of one of the critics deleted. What did you know about that, Greg? That whole quartering situation?
I'm with you. I've been following that as well. Like every now and again, I'll see stuff pop up like that. I guess a few months ago, there was a deal where he was live streaming and was, scrolling through Twitter to show people something and a bunch of porn popped up, but he was like, I don't know where that came from. Like, yeah, it's an algorithm. Like it shows you stuff that you look at regularly. So, he's a degenerate. It's been confirmed that he likes the chair in the corner of the room. That's like a well-known confirmed fact that like, that's what he's into with his wife, and he knows his wife anyway. But I'm with you. Like I see these things, like I'll see videos about it, but I was with you. I watched a couple of videos years ago, and his whole thing was I make 5 videos a day. And I remember thinking, well, that can't be interesting. And I watched him like twice. I was like, yeah, no, it's not. You just can't, you don't have enough to say to make 5 videos a day and stream at noon and all this kind of stuff. It's the same issue that I've had with like Matt. Well, I can't think of his name from Shapiro and Boring's network. God, I can't think of his name all of a sudden.
Matt Walsh.
God
damn it.
Daily Wire?
Matt Walsh is the same issue. Like when if you have to make multiple hours of content a day, you're going to run out of stuff to talk about. And that's how I felt about the quartering. So I was the same way. I haven't watched his videos in years, but been seeing this stuff blow up. And personally, he seems like a degenerate and kind of a scumbag. And then, people have had behind the scenes messages that's, he basically said, I can get people off if I want to. And they were making fun of him for liking to, enjoying watching his wife with other dudes. And then he got their channel nuked and multiple clips channels and stuff. And you're fucking with people's money. I mean, it's the same as going into somebody's workplace and showing them whatever they do on their off time and getting them fired. I mean, that's the number one YouTube offense. It's disgusting.
Yeah. The guy, he shouldn't have an audience after that. I'm not going to say he shouldn't have a channel. If he wants to bore the shit out of people with his fucking vapid takes, fine, do that. But no one should be watching his audience. If you're watching him, then you're just a fucking cock and a loser. You shouldn't be watching that channel after that, as far as I'm concerned. You shouldn't be watching it in the first place because he's fucking terrible, but separate issue. All right, we're going to leave it at that. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you very much, Nerdword, for guessing.
I'm so sorry I'm late, guys. Again, I totally messed up the times.
Didn't miss anything. It was just me and Greg shitting on Mando and Grog. So, don't worry about it. No one gives a shit about Star Wars anyway. All right. So thank you very much, everyone.